that gear cap. That's what scares me.
I'm not.
Make the line. Make the line.
That's not a line.
Close enough.
9 stacks. Oh, we're going above the actual number now.
10.
Oh,
Freaking Corey Count Stackula over here.
Oh, this is.
Where are
this
you
is
looking?
Shit, it's weird. So, Corey, what was unclear about always right? Corey, why you no speak?
How long have we been muted?
Oh, really
this
long
whole
time.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
I've been like calling out whether or not I have writers left.
Nope, you've been dead
Nope.
silent this whole time.
Yep.
God, you guys suck.
Okay, so
I am. We did it. We did it.
Double
Yes! Yeah! Yes! Trust me when I say we did it, that I know what I'm talking
I
about.
don't care!
Oh my god!
Get us flipping for that!
That is 3 floors, people. 3 floors.
yes! I am seriously about to cry. Welcome everyone to MogTalk. Today it is episode 94. We are on the date of January 28th, 2017. If you guys are unfamiliar with MogTalk, MogTalk is a show where we discuss a lot of different Final Fantasy XIV community topics. Anything from just basic content creation to coughing randomly during my intro, Drak. No, I'm just kidding, man.
I thought I was muted.
Oh, you're not muted anymore. I'll mute you. We're back. But
Okay.
all right. Anyways, no, I'm going to finish now. We're going to finish. All right. If you guys are unfamiliar with MogTalk, it's the show where we talk about chuck bow racing, savage raiding, and anything else that you guys might be interested in with Final Fantasy XIV. Today, we have on some awesome people from a group you guys might be familiar with, the Ness group. And only 3 of them, unfortunately. I know you guys are in love with everybody from the Ness group, but we brought on the more important people. You can tell your group that later, too, Track, if you don't mind. Just tell them the important people got on the show.
They know.
Well, at least 2 of them did. I don't know what Drax here for.
Perfect. All right, so I'm
the connection.
You go. Okay.
Liaison.
Let's do a round robin real quick. Drac, do you mind going ahead and just doing a quick introduction of who you are, what you do, and kind of why you exist?
Yeah, sure. Drakanous Firestone on the Lamia server, the Primal Data Center. I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV for the past 3 years. Started into the raiding scene about 2.1. And then got into a group for a second coil with Jesse and Seabass. And we had a lot of jokes about wanting to make a video about it. They didn't know that I was a video editor by trade. And so when we finally got back together in Heaven's Word, I wanted to get everybody together and put those jokes to use. And then people just wanted more after Seabass told me to post it to Reddit, which I was reluctant about because Reddit was normally very mean to me. But people really liked it, and the rest is history.
Red's with a bunch of bullies, man.
Yeah, and I am the resident monk of the group.
Okay. All right. And then let's keep going. We'll go to Jesse now. Jesse, can you introduce yourself to everybody that's here in the chat?
Hello, I'm Jesse. I main Paladin and Dark Knight for the Nest group. I am the main tank, and I've been playing Final Fantasy since a little bit before 2.2, and like Drax said, I started in second coil with him in raiding, so a little bit about me.
Good. Sounds great. Corey?
My name is Corey. I'm also on Lamia, for no reason in particular. I'm the warrior, and I'm the off tank. I get hit by a lot of things. I tank the ads. And I started around 2.4, 2.5-ish. And I got to learn how to tank against a ninja with his Zeta.
Nice.
That was fun. That is why I killed Drac.
Nice. You're known for that, apparently. Like, we were having this whole conversation before we started, and like they were telling me how you are a professional raid killer of the group. Now, do you kill people intentionally? Or is it more of
Sometimes.
like you just fuck up a lot?
A lot of it is intentional.
Okay.
People say things that they shouldn't, so I just decide to punish them.
All right, that sounds fair. There's a lot of different ways to do that in these most recent fights.
There really is.
Especially with confusion. It's been really awesome to kill people with confusion. If you pop all your buffs right before you get confused, you can just like walk over and just one-shot somebody.
Oh, we have some turn 8 stories about that.
Oh, you bet we do.
See, they do. My first raid experience in Final Fantasy was turn 9.
Turn 9
Sure.
is the best, so it's all been downhill. Right? Just to make sure.
I started out strong in turn 9 with those golems. And
Oh.
everything else is just not compared.
Yeah. Turn 9 is such a damn staple in the community. Like, I don't think anyone will ever say there's been a fight better than Turn 9. Unless if you guys will say differently.
A6.
Turn 9 was good.
A fight better than turn 9?
I think
Like,
we
we
have
haven't made it to a final floor since. So this is the first time in 2 years that we've actually made it to a final floor.
Oh, and
So-
this whole tier has been like really catering towards people that can't play as much and they can't like just hardcore power through it like within the first week.
Finally.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so this actually,
Gorgeous.
yeah, I mean it's been a while. It's like they've been all making stuff really difficult. Like turn 8 and turn 4 wasn't too bad. It was more turn 3. This whole expansion, A3 and A8 have been pretty ridiculous fights for people who play casually, which is the other part of the conversation we're gonna have today. Is that I wanted to have a conversation about casual rating, and you guys seem qualified for that. Am I wrong?
I wouldn't
I-
disagree.
Yeah, I would like to dispute that, but I can't.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
no, we're pretty much the poster boys for and girl of the casual community.
Excellent. Yeah, and I think that, that's what I do. And most people in the game right now are pretty casual raiders. I mean, there's a good select group that's very vocal, that are really hardcore raiders. And there's lots of complaints about the game in a perspective of a hardcore player. But I wanted to have a conversation with you guys as well throughout the show, maybe even a little bit later after we talk more about the Nest creation. It's kind of where the state is currently for the game for everyone else that's playing besides, the hardcore raiders. So my first question, just based off that conversation there, real quick, do you guys feel like the game is in a pretty good place right now for people who play the game casually?
I think it's moving in the right direction. Definitely. I think they really tried to gear it towards, or at least stick it to the hardcore raiders, the people who are the world firsters and stuff, which were, according to their data, like 2% of the community overall, across all platforms and all data centers and regions. So that kind of killed that part of the community for the entirety of
Everyone else.
Gordius, yeah. And then Midas was better. I will say that we didn't get through it as far as that one because of just
Other factors.
yeah, there were other factors in that. I thought the fights were great. I really liked the fights in Midas, and but this one is very it's a lot better for people to kind of go in. It's a lot easier to learn, though. A11, you really need to be focused for it. So I think it's gotten a good balance. I'm liking how they're going away from on things, other aspects of the game like crafting. They're moving away from specializations a lot more, which crafters hated.
Oh, yeah.
Gathering is not as bad, but yeah, I think that they're doing better. And the thing that I like about Final Fantasy above just about every other game is that they listen to the community, and they want to try things new. And that doesn't always mean that people are going to like them, and it doesn't mean that things are going to succeed, and it doesn't always mean that it's going to be good. But they're trying, and that's the point, that they experiment. And people don't always know what they want until they have it, and so I think that's kind of their thinking. That's what I would give them the benefit of the doubt in that. And so, but they do listen, and then they adjust from there. So I think they've done a good job, as good as they can. And I think with their recent success, they're going to get a lot more headway, because Square Enix seems to be recognizing what Yoshida-san does for the game and for the company, especially with the Japan fan festival, with all the big names that they're bringing in. Like, he's getting a lot of pull, especially being on the the higher administrative side of Square Enix now. That's what he was saying in the North American Fan Fest, is that he's gotten a lot more. He's got his hands in a lot more pots.
Yeah.
So he's doing really well, and I think that's going to reflect positively on the rest of the game.
So you had a lot more thoughts than I thought you would have on that, to be honest with you. That was pretty good. That was excellent. Did you guys hear that train the entire time that was going on my mic? No? Okay.
No, I
Thank
didn't hear
God. There's a train right next to me that was just not like it was just, what's the right word? It was blasting through. Let's just say blasting through. That sounds pretty good. Right next to me. Luckily my mic didn't pick it up, so that was great. My mic was shaking and stuff because it was shaking the house a little bit while I was going by, but it was good.
Damn.
Jesse, Corey, you guys kind of on board here with Drac, or?
Yeah, I
Yeah, pretty
agree.
much.
Gordius was not good for the casual to a lesser extent, the mid-core scene. I know a lot of people quit just because of A3.
Yep.
And I don't know, not all of them have come back. So that was definitely a mistake I don't think they can afford to make with Stormblood.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to go with that level of difficulty again, you can't start with your first 4 floors of the raid tier being that bad, because then the people who would actually like to participate in that kind of content no longer have a reason to play your game.
Mm-hmm.
So if I actually like the difficulty of Midas and Creator. I think if they had started with Creator's difficulty and then have left Midas where it's at and then had Gordius, it would have been a much less shocking progression, and people wouldn't have like up and quit about it, and they would have been more prepared for the Gordius floors.
Yeah.
If you take them in reverse order in terms of difficulty.
Yep. I think almost everybody is kind of saying the exact same thing. Every hardcore players, doesn't matter who you are, they all say the exact same thing. That's exactly what the Angered group said when I was talking to them when they came on the show right after they cleared this tier, and it's been this exact same statement every single time I've talked about how should the tiers be changed up, and they're like, just flip them around and you're good to go. And Jesse, you're kind of thinking the same thing too, or am I just assuming?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty much the same thing as what they've said. Like, just flip it. That was pretty much it. Like, the way Gordius started off, at least having done like second coil, when we started, it took us like 2-3 weeks to just beat the trash mob to get to the boss. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
At how difficult Gordius was. And I really did like Midas, and even having run with 2 groups for it, I really liked it a lot. Because having seen most of A7 like all the way up to the last phase, it was really nice.
Yeah.
And I really like Creator. Creator's a really good tier.
Well, we'll side this conversation for a bit. I feel like after we get into all the Nest stuff, it just seemed like it flowed into that topic a little bit too well for me not to just go ahead and grab it real quick. But I want to talk about you guys as a group. And the first question I have, I'm obsessed with why people call themselves certain things. Ness, I have no clue what Ness stands for. What does Ness stand for?
It was actually just it kind of goes a little deeper into just me not playing nice with other people. I have authority problems.
Okay.
And so every free company that I would join, I mean in 11 it wasn't that bad, but in 14 I was a little older, a little bit more mature. Not in my behavior, because I was just out of league, so I was like confrontational to the max.
Mm-hmm.
And or very passive aggressive too. So anytime anything would happen, like just there would be some sort of fallout, whether the free company leader was being a jerk or I was overreacting to something or whatever you'd have. So I just was like, screw it, I'm just gonna make my own free company with a buddy of mine at the time, which was a big reason for where I learned a lot of the attitudes, and kind of course I'm responsible for what I do. I'm not blaming him for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I picked up on that. But we were just like, let's make our own group, and his name was a variation of Drake, and so I had Drac, and then it was Drake's Nest is what the free company's name was. And so
okay.
then I was like, if I'm just going to be jumping around free companies, I may as well just make my own and have the buffs and the benefits and stuff, and just keep it to us.
Nice.
And it kind of grew from there. So as long as I'm not in other people's free companies, it's usually not a bad thing.
Okay.
Because we can have our disagreements and then we always just come back as friends. But
Corey, Jesse, is
it's bad.
Drac an asshole?
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit. Do you feel like joining the group you have right now has helped you kind of calm down a little bit? Like you're not like tell me the difference. Like when you went to other groups, if someone wiped, were you just like, this is your fault, you're a piece of shit, and you're
No. That's one thing that I did not like. Like as we were talking about league community, and something that I could not stand about other raiding groups is if you're in a group with your teammates and your friends, you don't talk shit to your teammates and your friends.
I would almost disagree, and I would say I talk shit to my teammates and friends often. But you don't you don't say it in a way that you're like, in the end, you both should know. Hey, don't take it personally. We're just saying shit.
Yeah,
Right.
there's a good line between when you're joking, giving shit, and when you're just jibbing at people or poking fun. But then there's like the what the fuck is your problem kind of a thing, and that was the kind of attitude that I was around a lot, and so I was just like, in order to contend and still be friends with these people or like still hang out, the only people I had to hang out with at the time, that's just kind of what I went along with. And my change away from that wasn't necessarily the new group. I'm happy that it's not a part of the group now, but it was more of a personal development thing. And as I grew and matured, I knew that's not the way that you handle things. And even when I was doing it, I knew that wasn't the right way to do things. It wasn't me like talking smack to people or making those comments. It was people would do something that was out of line, and I just didn't handle it the best way. But it was my bringing it up, and they're not handling it. So it was both parties, definitely. First of which, I was on Cerberus, and I felt bad about the way I handled it until I talked to Corey and knew that he was on board with me. And that kind of feeling, and the fact that we were working really hard on T1, and it was my fault that we wiped that time because I was going over to DPS the last snake, and I ran over a platform and spawned a slime, which healed the snake. But I mean, that was like the first time we got really close. I felt horrible. I apologize. And then I came on the next day. They did an unplanned raid day and cleared it without me. And so I was pissed. I was so pissed off. As nobody called me, nobody told me. And so, yeah, I was like, what's that about? And they were just like, oh, it's not a big deal, man. I was like, yeah, it's kind of like, oh, you can just come into T2. I'm like, what? So you can beat that without me too? Like, I don't want to do this kind of a thing. So I was pretty pissed off at that. So that was the first one. The next one was a loot whore. I went into a fight. It was Ultima, and I went on a monk. That's the rules that I go. If you want loot, you go in on the class you're going in on. And so they were in TeamSpeak, and I wasn't, and they wanted a certain piece of loot, so I rolled need, and they got mad at that. So that was the other. I'm like, I'm not gonna apologize. So that was that. But most of the time, I try to stay respectful of people. In Midas, we had some very nasty things being said and very bad attitudes, and I waited a long time to deal with it because I wanted to make sure I was dealing with it the right way. And so I was consulting everybody and making sure that was the thing. But no, Jesse has taken a load off my shoulders by being asshole during raid, and so
The fun police.
Yeah. All right, everybody needs to shut the fuck up right now. We need to do this, and so it's been nice.
That's necessary.
It's good, and I appreciate that he does it.
So Jesse, how do you like get the I don't know, when do you see like, all right guys, shut up, we need to clear this, what's happening, we need to fix who's messing up and analyze it? When do you get to that point? When do you turn the switch off? Like after 10 wipes, 20 wipes, 50 wipes?
Let's take an example. So
First phase wipes.
Yeah, let's take A11 for example. That's a good one. So we raid for 2 hours, 2 days a week. So not a lot of time to actually get through a lot. So if we fuck up a lot, we're just wasting time at that point. We had already been to the last phase easily a couple times before, 3-4 times, something like that. Like we had seen it enough to get to that point again without really much of an issue. And we spend an hour wiping to stuff in either phase 1 before even the first ship phase. And it's like, okay, this is getting a bit much. Whatever the problem is, it needs to be fixed. We need to see the last phase again if we want to beat this anytime soon. This is literally absurd. Like, we need to do something to get past this. Focus, no more talking, let's get it done. That's usually how it goes. And for the most part, depending on if it's like in A12 right now, since we just kind of got in, like, really getting into it, I haven't really had to be like fun police for it because we're just learning it. It's not something we were like really used to yet. So when it gets to like the point like we're reaching like a month on a fight or like a little over that, we reach like the hour mark. I'm starting to think, no, we need to do something. If it's even longer than that, if it's like 20, 30 minutes, no. No, we need to do something to get this done.
I gotcha. So, does your group respond well to that, or is it more like you guys are, we're not really recording anything anymore because everyone's quiet, there's nothing really fun happening here anymore? You just like turn off the recording and you just say, all right, we're trying to clear it? I mean, I'm guessing you're not going to turn off the recording, but you guys all just kind of serious up?
No, we handle it really well.
Yeah.
Everybody, like, they understand where Jesse's coming from, and they realize he's not doing it to be an asshole, but he's tired of wiping on the same stuff that we've done I don't know how many times now. And so we all serious up, we get our focus back, and then we kill it like in the next pull or two.
Okay.
And then we're back to doing what we were doing on the next fight. With like it's no hard feelings.
Okay.
And if there is like, let's say if Jesse were to take it too far, I tell him to like tone it down and to stop being an asshole. I haven't had to do that in quite a long time. So he's done his part to make sure he's keeping it at least fair to us and fair to him, so we're not wasting each other's time.
So
our group is a good check and balance.
Okay.
Where we keep each other in check, but everybody knows who we are, and that's a culture that I like to cultivate, and that I'm happy that we have, is that everything is well thought out, everything is justified, and we know that nobody's saying it just to be mean or just to take out frustration.
So since we're on this topic, give me the worst situation you guys have ever had to deal with while raiding with people conflicting or something of that nature.
In like Nest?
Yeah.
Or just in general?
There's two that come to mind. One was with Jesse and another person, and one's with me and another person. The one with Jesse and another person was more direct, where they were taking things too far. They thought they were being funny. They weren't. They knew what pushed buttons. And so that was the point where it was just like, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. And you can interject at any point just see if I'm getting anything wrong. But
that was back in Gordius, certain member. We had already had some issues before, way before Nest had started. Pushing buttons is an accurate description of what had happened. Because we had spent God knows how fucking long on A2, and we were just desperate to try to find an answer to beat it, and that person wasn't really helping, let's say. So, yeah.
I gotcha. Did that person leave the group, I'm assuming?
Yeah. They threw a temper tantrum. Because they expected me as the free company leader because Jesse was just like, I'm not going to talk to you then if you're going to do that, which I thought was since like you said, it had been going on for years prior, through WoW, through personal experience, somebody that he knew personally. And whenever it came to games, that was what would happen, that's just what he did. Not Jesse, but this other guy. So we knew that it was a possibility, and I was ready for it when it did happen. But Jesse's just like, I'm just not going to talk. I'm not going to cause any friction, but I'm going to keep him muted because I don't want that. I was like, yeah, I can understand that. I've been in that situation before. And I hate it when people are like, oh, well, why can't you guys still be friends? Why can't you just talk? I don't have a problem with this person. Why do you have a problem with this person? Kind of a thing.
Mhm.
And I try and play mediator without really listening. So I wasn't going to do that. And he wanted me to, this other dude. And he's like, you should make him talk to me. You should help us sort this out. I'm like, there's nothing I can do, man. He doesn't want to do it. I'm not going to force it on him. And then he started, he took shots at me. He's like, you're a shitty raid leader and you suck and you're stupid and all this stuff. I was like, and deleted.
Yeah.
So I just muted him and he left the free company and removed us off of everything. And then he eventually came crawling back, but I was like, or he talked about wanting to crawl back. And Seabass is like, no, you shit the bed, man. He's probably not going to let you in. Which I wouldn't really mind as long as he played nice, but yeah, I thought that was funny. Where he was just like, this is dumb. I'm just like, and I'm not fighting with you. Boop. That was it.
Your child feels the same. I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's upset about something. She's hungry, probably.
Makes sense. It's funny because you tell me that. I have a perfect example of that. Some people just don't handle things very well when you tell them this stuff. For example, I was doing, I think it was Shiva, and I raid with my fiance, Carrara, and she heals and everything. And someone died. And the guy just simply said, look, what's going on? Why didn't you heal me? I can't believe you didn't heal me. And it's because he took extra damage. He stood in a circle he shouldn't have stood in. And he took extra damage. And we're like, hey. She's like, well, you could have still healed me. And in the end, we just like said, all right, guys, you can go screw off. And so we needed to get someone for our static later down in the road. And he came in and he was like, hey, I'll join, man. I'll be a part of that. And I'm like, man, you left on a really shitty note last time we did a party finder with you. That was pretty bad how you handled that. He's like, yeah, man, I'm sorry. You know, this sucks. I'll tell her I'm sorry and everything. But you know, if she would have just healed me, it would have been none of this would ever happen. I was like, what did you think was going to happen after you said that?
Yeah, why even try?
Similar
thing. Yeah. And but that was before Nest. Jesse was there for that.
So
how
much experience do you guys have with each other before Nest?
Jesse and Seabass, I didn't really hang out with a whole lot. We would have Mumble, and then they would be in Skype, talking shit about everybody in Mumble. Mm-hmm. And so then they invited me in, and just complaining about people dying to stuff that they shouldn't be dying to. And so I really enjoyed, though, their interaction together. I liked their sense of humor. And so then later on down the line, Seabass eventually rejoined because I was still going with another group. It's a whole other issue. Mm-hmm. But they all hauled off after I got them their T9 clear. And then Seabass joined again. And I was like, oh, hey, is Jesse going to join? And he's like, I don't know. I can talk to him. And then Jesse was doing whatever else. And he was like, why is Drac asking about me? And he eventually came back, and we got other people in, and Mike and Craig and Steve were all going to join, at least at 3.0. And so then I was like, oh, we got a full 8-man team. And so then we just started on that.
Was your door open?
It was cracked.
Oh, is she coming in?
She stole my food.
Oh, you steal Mama's grilled cheese?
She can have.
She's going now he's officially part of the show.
Hey, come here, baby. She's gonna just come here for a sec. Say hi to everybody.
Stream.
Say hi to everybody on the stream. This is part of being a parent, guys.
Yep.
And gaming.
Say up. Can you do it? She's not gonna do it now that I asked her.
Oh my god. She looks grumpy.
She just stole her mom's grilled cheese sandwich. So.
Oh wow, nice.
I watch Uni running in after her. She took my food.
Well, she doesn't like. What does she think? What do you think's going through her mind right now? She looks a little bit.
She's looking at herself right now. She's figuring it out. So,
Corey, Jesse, how much does she interject herself into your rating?
At least once a week.
At least once a week.
Yeah.
Someone shit my pants.
Who put all this shit in my pants?
Oh my god. So, is this your first child, by the way?
Yeah, this is our first little one.
Oh my goodness. Jesse, Corey, do you have any kids?
Nope.
Me either. I can't relate to parents at all.
Everybody's been really good though.
Yeah.
Everybody's been really nice. We had some issues before where people were a little finicky about having daughter around, but that's why Uni kind of stepped out and just took parental role. And so she watches her while we yeah. And yeah, it was worked out. It's been fine. She raised with us every now and then. You're gonna let this drop.
Yeah, you could teach her how to play Monk. I mean, like, pretty much a baby could probably play Monk, I would think. Right?
I have footage of her taking my controller and running me off edges. It's been great.
She has yanked out his controller, his headphones, his hair, his beard.
I can tell, yeah.
I don't remember if she unplugged his computer yet or not.
She's turned it off.
Yes.
Two or three times.
Just went up and pressed the button. Oh my goodness.
Hey, do you not want it?
Those are always entertaining pulls when Drac suddenly disappears.
Yeah, the red ball just whoops.
So that's a really good point too. I mean, you guys have things that happen during the raid. How do you, Jesse, Corey, how do you guys deal with it when you have all these little random things happening during the raid? Do you guys just kind of say, all right, let's just wait it out? Let's just sit down?
Basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
We don't really like take any special measures after something interrupts. We just kind of deal with it as it happens.
Okay.
It's not terribly frequent, so it's not an issue normally.
So you guys don't have like what's that system that people used back in the day with WoW points and everything else?
DKP.
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 You know, too. Mine is DKP for children unplugging things.
DKP minus.
God damn it.
There are people like I know who was Anger. Did they do DKP with their loot and everything else?
Oh man.
Do you guys? I can't ever imagine going and doing that, especially like in Final Fantasy XIV. Do you guys ever want to think, hey, we're going to introduce this to our raid now, so if you guys start messing up, we're going to start making it to where you get less loot? No.
I've made jokes about it,
but that's not a real thing. We wouldn't do that
like
to
the
people.
closest thing is I got gypped out of a bird.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks,
Oh.
Raya.
Oh, really? You just like, no, we're not going to let you.
Raya got good boy points for calling out the entire fight. So we were like, if we get a bird, you get the first bird because you carried us through with call outs.
Yeah.
And so
the first clear, Raya gets the bird because it drops. I'm like, you little bitch.
So
I mean, it's kind of a good thing. Rewarding people for doing well.
We reward people, but we don't. We're not there's no negative reinforcement.
All positive reinforcement. They do that with animals in the zoo too. All right.
Yeah.
It works.
That's basically what we are. We're just animals playing
In a zoo.
computer games.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so when did you guys? I actually have a question for you, Drac. When did you start saying, "Hey, I want to upload these things, or ridiculous jokes, or ridiculous things that happen during raid, and make a video out of it"? What just like when did that switch flip on for you?
That was when we were in T9 with our first group, with Jesse, Seabass, and I.
Mm-hmm.
And our raid leader was a funny guy. I loved him. He was great. Even though he said some outrageous stuff sometimes, it was just amazing. But hey, you need to settle down. He would always say, Jesse, every time Ravenspeak hits you, I just imagine a squeaky toy. We need a video where every time that happens, just a squeaky toy pops up, or just this explosion. So that's when I first got like the ideas for it. Mm-hmm. And then it broke up before I had a computer capable of recording and editing. And so, don't fall again. And so when we finally got together for, T9 and stuff, I was like, is everybody cool with me recording and doing this stuff? So I made it for us. Okay. I didn't make it to upload for like Reddit and for the Final Fantasy community. Mm-hmm. I was still in college. So I was thinking I'm just going to get a job. So that wasn't my idea for it. Mm-hmm. And so I threw it up there, and then I think Seabass and Corey were like, you got to put this up on Reddit. People are going to love it. I was like, I don't know. Because every time I post something to Reddit, people are just like indiscriminately or like irrationally mean about something. Like I go on for a discussion and they're like, this is dumb. You're stupid. You're a retard. I was like, okay. I'm just not going to go here anymore. So, but now I posted it, and I was expecting the worst, and then like I was almost in tears because they kept telling me, "Oh, you're at 500 views, you're at 1,200 views, people are like loving it," and so like it blew up way more than I ever thought that it would, and just person after person, we want more, 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 more. And so I posted Bismarck after that, and then Ravana, and people just more and more and more, and it just became a thing. And so it's very fan driven. Yeah. So usually I would only make stuff if I had like the inspiration for it, but everybody gives me great content to work with. So I mean, it's all natural, and usually a lot of the time I show them the video, and they're like, "I forgot about that part. I didn't know he had so many jokes." Like Ravana was so stressful. People were like, "You're not going to have enough footage for that video." Like it was just all stress. Right. And then I posted it, and people were like, "Oh, that was really good." So yeah. And then people wanted to see streaming, so I was like, "Yeah, let's do streaming." And stop. Your daughter needs you. And so yeah, that was the start of it. And then I've always been a business oriented person. So yes. And so it's my T-shirt.
Oh, okay.
Finally got it in the mail. I'll do that later, so I'm not crinkling in the microphone.
That's fine.
So like I've always wanted to do that stuff, and so making it into something I could live off of was natural, and I saw the opportunity, and so that's what I've been turning it into, and it's giving me more opportunity to do it more, and especially with the amount of work that goes into it.
Oh yeah.
I have to make it profitable, and so now it just makes me feel good that I throw up a video and it pays for my year of Final Fantasy subscription. Like I'm making money off of the game, and so that makes me feel better. I'm just like, yes, I'm not wasting my time. That's always the thing that we want to assure ourselves of, is that no, these video games aren't a waste of time. I'm being productive. Yeah. And so no, it really has been a huge blessing to me, and I'm thankful for it.
So Jesse, how have you felt during this whole transition? I mean, it's to me, it's kind of crazy, again, because you guys just kind of exploded and became like a thing. How's that been for you, Jesse?
I really like it, to be honest with you, because when we did start back in Second Coil, and we started making jokes like that, and during T9, it was just like, man, that'd be cool if we could do that. And then, like Drac said, after we did like Bismarck, I think Bismarck's like the most views out of all the videos we have so far. Like seeing the videos and like being through like all of the hours and stress of going through like the raid, and then seeing what Drac does and seeing like all the actual like really funny, genuine moments. It's really nice. It's a lot of fun.
All right. Corey, how have you felt during this whole experience, man?
It's kind of weird, because on one hand, it's nice to like be actually like part of the community, and people are like, it's like, "Oh wow, we watch all your videos. It's like the last one was great. When's the next one?" And it's like I like interacting with fans, and they do recognize us out in Duty Finder every now and then. Right. And so that's always kind of fun to like meet and say hi to them. On the other hand, though, it's like they think we're so much, I guess, better than we are, and it's weird being like the object of their like ideals. That's the word for it, like the object of their ideals, and they expect us to be like this extremely good like group, just rocking through content. Yeah, people like that. They think we're like super good, and I'm like, anything I can do, you guys can do, as long as you just put in the work to like practice. Yeah, I'm not anything special. I'm just me.
I get like every time I get into a group and someone's like, "Oh, I recognize who you are," I'm like, "Fuck, I'm gonna mess up." And these guys are going to hate me for life now, because they're going to realize how bad I am at this game.
People actually expect me to kill them out in Duty Finder. They think it's... I'll just goes like... Actually, Seabass told me, so he was in Duty Finder. He's like, "Oh, thank God I got you. If I got Corey, he would have killed all of us." I'm like... I don't just randomly kill Duty Finder people. I don't know them.
I mean, that's kind of what you're supposed to do. You remember that the last patch with the dungeons, there's the second boss and the one with all the Exali or whatever people, where he does that quick little cleave.
Yes.
That's the perfect killing one. So
I've actually never let anybody get hit by that. I'll just eat it myself.
That's like opposite of what you're telling me you do, dude. I mean, it's like the perfect fight to do that. Because,
it is. But Duty Finder hasn't wronged me inherently.
Oh, really?
They're just yeah. No, I don't.
As soon as somebody talks shit, though, it's on.
So it's like, oh, Ryan made a suggestion. You should make a berserk macro. Okay, I made it. I used it. I let him eat a divine spear.
Oh my gosh.
It's that system of feedback. I gave him feedback. He gave me feedback.
You should just kill him, dude. They want
did.
it. Just turn that
Multiple
cleave
times.
next time you do it.
I've
Turn
been
the cleave.
very happy though that I can kamikaze now for Corey. If we ever get linked to something, I'm just gonna be like, I'm just gonna go die, and then
Like,
he
okay.
blows up too. He can't.
Oh, in
yeah.
A12?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. Tell me how far you guys have gotten in A12 so far.
We just made it
Second
yesterday.
Inception.
Second Inception.
Second
And
Inception.
it went pretty well. I
Do you
don't know
guys
why
look up a
guys
lot of
get hit with
guides
that.
or
We
I
look
do.
up to Jesse is the fun police. Corey and I I like staying as ignorant as I can about the fight until we see a new mechanic a couple times. Then it's explained. Then we look up a video up to that point, and then it's just I like the natural. I if you can call it like any sort of scripting or
trying to figure out the
pushing
fight, like
things.
putting a puzzle together yourself, sort of?
Yeah, like I like the natural response to holy shit, what's happening,
No.
kind of a thing. And that's the fun in that, and that's what I think a lot of people like watching is the reactions, because that's the reactions they have to it, kind of a thing. I think that's a big part of our appeal is that we're relatable
Right.
in that respect. I have no idea why people think we're good.
A lot of
Corey.
people comment that. They say, hey, I like watching you guys because you remind me of the good old days when I raided with my friends.
No, and I've had so many different people come up and just their responses to it and how the different ways that they appreciate the videos makes it very much worth it for me. So I like it. I like people coming up. I love people coming to talk to me. At FanFest, I love people coming taking pictures. And,
You went to
I love
FanFest,
chat.
and I totally
Yeah.
didn't even try to see you. I'm sorry, man.
I tried to make myself as available as possible. I didn't have any of these shirts yet, so I couldn't.
Go ahead. Do your thing.
I
You
want
can-
to see the
do
Thunder
your
Buddies.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is perfect.
Need to get me one of those.
That is
So.
excellent.
But yeah, like I made a video as soon as we got there. I was like, I'm heading out now on shitty Vegas. I
Shitty
couldn't get
Vegas.
Wi-Fi. The shitty Vegas service, like my cell service, I couldn't even play Pokemon Go. I was
Oh
so
yeah,
pissed
no,
off.
no,
Like
no, no. That's
Uni
something
was
about
like,
Vegas.
"Oh, I
I don't
just
know
caught
what it is.
Squirtle." I was like, "I'm loading." So fuck you, Verizon.
Yeah. You know what's funny?
What?
I thought AT&T was crappy out there and Verizon was good.
She fucking I don't know why, but she had better reception than I did. But I got that. I had to make like a really quick video, like 10 seconds long. Hey, I'm gonna be out there. Come say hi. I'll see you later. And then we headed out to the venue. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of people came up. I have a lot of pictures with people if they wanted me, if they allowed me to post them.
Mhm.
And a lot of people took pictures. It was a lot of fun. I had a really good time interacting with people. That's my thing. Like I'm definitely an introvert where I enjoy my peace and quiet. I like to be able to go to peace and quiet, but I'm a social butterfly otherwise. I love running into people when I'm like, and that's my mindset. So FanFest was amazing. It was great.
It was
It was a good
absolutely amazing. And it sucks they only do it like every 2 years. It's kind of frustrating because I want to go to it every single year. I want it to be an event for me to go to, but it is what it is. Jesse, Corey, you guys didn't go, did you?
No, I have school and work, so it's hard for me to get time off. And the time I do get off, I like to go and travel and see people.
Well, that's
But not
FanFest.
me.
No, I like to see people I know.
You know me.
So like I go down to Florida, I'll hang out. I've hung out with Steve, Mike, Seabass, and then Savannah.
Okay. So, but people from the videos know who you are. You don't want to meet those guys?
If they're gonna pay for me to take off work, pay for my travel, my food, my lodging, sure.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Jesse, do you have any interest in going out there and meeting fans face to face?
I'd like to go to the next FanFest. I didn't go to the last one just because of school, but if I was able to go to the next one, I would.
Okay.
No, I was a little bummed I couldn't make it, because FanFest does look really neat.
Yeah.
I thought it was an every year thing, and I was like, oh man, I'll just go next year. Well, I'll wait till the next year.
Yeah, it's more of a pre-expansion thing, is what they're doing it as.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they always announce an expansion. Like I went to 2014 and I went to 2016, and they both were absolutely amazing. Just going out there and meeting everyone. In 2014, I didn't do like any streaming or anything, so I went there as like I don't know anyone, don't know anything about Twitch. I don't know anyone at all, and I just absorbed it as someone who played the game. Then 2016
nice
was
being
crazy.
incognito sometimes.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And 2016 was different. Like I would be just walking down the hall and people were like, "Hey man, what's up? I love your videos. I love MogTalk." I'm like, really? People actually know what I do and who I am in any capacity at all? And granted, it's not like every single person, but it's like enough to where if I'm walking somewhere, I'll see somebody every single time. And I thought that was pretty cool. I'm guessing you kind of had the same kind of thing going on, Track.
Yeah, I was more expecting it because a lot of people expressed that they were going to go to FanFest, that they wanted to see me there. So I knew that I was going to get some people. I was more surprised that people didn't come up to me. And that's not to be like, all right, do you know who I am? It was more that people would like see me and go, oh. And then I'd be like, hey, and then they'd be like, oh, that's cool. And then they'd start talking to their friends again. But like, I was expecting like to be bum rushed. But everybody was very timid coming up to me. And so very respectful people, very, very nice. I didn't get anybody being like, trolly or being mean or anything like that. But everybody was so cool. Everybody was really nice.
That's because I wasn't there.
I loved watching some people's reactions were just adorable. There was one girl there, she had the Yuna cosplay, and I was at the concert, and she found me in the dark, like it was when the lights were off, and she came up to me and she's like, "You're Drat Gamestein." I was like, "Yeah." It's just like, oh my god. I was like, don't hyperventilate. And so they're like, "Can I get a?" I'm like, "You want a picture?" And they're like, "Yes!" And so they're freaking out. Like I'm like, I'm not. It surprises me how people perceive me sometimes. I'm like, I like it. It's a good validation for me, but I didn't expect that much. Right. And so it was really fun. It was really fun seeing people. And, I did get to meet Matt Hilton for a brief moment. Yeah. I saw him in passing. And the only time I'd spoken to him and Devin for the community position when they were interviewing for that. And I was like, I was waiting to like be able to say hi and talk to them because I want to be more involved in the actual Final Fantasy community. So I was like, "Hey man," and he was like, "Yeah, hey, how you doing?" And he was nice. It's like, I'm busy, and I'm like, no, go. Yeah. So he still talks about having nightmares about FanFest because I'm sure he was playing a big part in planning and stuff like that. It was great. Yeah,
I talked to Matt a good bit when I was there too. He's a pretty cool guy. I mean, I've had him on the show before, and I talked to him then. And every time I've talked to him, he's always had he seems like he knows what he's doing. He belongs in a position that he's in, without a doubt.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
And, I've talked to a lot of those people in the community team, and hopefully we'll get him back on the show at some point. We can have him come on here, especially a new member, Zaya and Akborn are both like really amazing new members too. They've been really great with connecting the whole community together. It's funny because Final Fantasy XIV has a huge community outside of the game. Like with Twitch and with YouTube and Reddit and everything else, people do know who each other are. And going to FanFest, I was able to meet tons of people I talked to, like online, like just working together in content creation, everything. Like Mr. Happy, I talked to him. Zeno was there. We got Zeno to go over to it, so we had him. Actually, I walked around.
I've heard them talk about me, but I haven't met them or talked to them at all. Like,
you should, man.
I'm not against it. It's more of I'm still a new face, so I don't want them to feel like I'm trying to rub shoulders just because I think I'm somebody. I'm waiting for.
You think you're somebody? So you think you're important or something, dude?
Yeah. So I'm like, hey, we could do something, and so I was freaking out the first time that Denmo, McStronghuge, kind of like.
Denmo's like the one person I haven't really talked to in the community at all.
He's very reclusive, but he's a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun to talk to. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Akmorn I talked to a little bit. She's always like, "I'm gonna get you on the community team." I'm like, anytime.
I'm ready for it.
So
yeah. Well,
yeah, these guys haven't been. I'm trying to get them into more of the scene, but
Jesse,
they
Corey,
have their limits.
Yeah. Do you guys have any interest in getting into the scene and being a little bit more, I don't know, involved with everything?
I'm not against it. I've pitched several ideas with Drac for more content. We just have to kind of get around to doing it. As far as like going out and meeting people, if I ever do make it out to FanFest, I wouldn't mind meeting people.
Okay.
I would just wear a Thunder Buddy shirt so everybody knew.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
and Jesse?
I'm gonna make shirts for everybody. Eventually, I'm gonna have them, something clever on the shirt and have that out there, so people will know who they are. But yeah.
Jesse, do you feel like you're gonna get more involved and be part of the community here, dude?
If it's like whatever we try to set up, then yeah, like going to FanFest too, that'd be something really nice to do. But as for like, because I don't have a Reddit account, I don't have like Twitter, so I can't really like talk to people that are on the subreddit about like the videos or whatever.
Good time to make one, dude.
Yeah. If I run into people a lot in Duty Finder all the time, and it's always fun because a lot of people always say like, oh, you made my day because I got to see you in Duty Finder or something like that, or like, oh, I can't believe I get to off tank with Jesse. And it's just like, I'm a dude that sits at home and goes to college and plays video games all day. Like that's it. But
that's how I feel. It's like you do the same thing I do. I just do it with a video pointed at my face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your character, yeah. It's.
I mean, that's why people like you, dude, because they can relate. Again. So.
Yeah.
God, if people can relate, there's a lot of assholes.
There are a lot of assholes out there. You're right. No. Okay, so I also want to talk one more bit about your group here. I have you three on, and you guys talk about Seabass a lot. There's obviously 4 other members of your group. How like active are these other members of your group?
Well,
I'd say fairly active.
Yeah.
We've had Morv has been a substitute healer since Gordius, I believe. Right, Drac?
Was it
Morv
Gordius?
has been subbing. Yeah. Yeah,
She was in with Thornton. That's how we met her.
Okay, yes.
She was a sub in Thornton, and we'd stopped Gordius.
Okay.
And then she came in on A6.
Yes, and then we pulled Raya in after Sephiroth, but in Midas, along with Neum and Barry. They actually pulled Raya in, and Raya's been very active. He actually pulled Kieran or Raisin in, and Morv brought Hans. But they're all very active, especially like in comms, depending on the fight. Everybody has their own little niche of what they decide to do, which is much better. It's easier on me and Jesse, because like in Gordius and all the way up to Sephiroth, he would predominantly handle calls, and then I would take over at certain parts of the fight, just so he could focus on what he needed to do. And then Drac would also try and help periodically when it was too much for both of us to focus on at one time. But now it's like Raya will call shit out, Raisin will call shit out, because they've already cleared. Raisin's cleared the fight A12 multiple times now with his other group on Leviathan.
Yeah, they're almost ready to stop because there's no point in doing it anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, people cleared that fight within 2 days. Within that first week, there's a good amount of people who cleared the fight, but they're raiding 24/7, going through and doing all this stuff. And it's kind of funny talking about like casual raiding and everything else, because honestly, if you like my group, at a point we're raiding, I guess 6 hours a week, 2 days a week, and 1 day is always spent catching up to where you were. And then you have 1 day of actually trying to progress, where other groups are raiding every single day. They have 1 day, like a few hours of catching up, then they're just like bashing through the new content constantly. And so it's a struggle if you only play a little bit every single time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can agree. In Gordius and Midas, we were doing, I was 3 days a week, 3 hours in 3 hour blocks. So we'd raid like 9 hours a week, all the way up through towards the end of Midas, and then we toned it back. Because if you're stuck on a fight for so long, it gets incredibly frustrating, because you know what you need to do. It's just you're not necessarily having the ability to do it. And 3 hours in that environment, after 2 hours, it really starts getting on your nerves. And so it's like, okay, the last hour was never really productive. It was just adding fuel to a fire that really didn't need more fuel. So we just cut it down, and now we're down to 2 hours a day, 2 days a week.
I mean, that's super light for a lot of people. 4 hours a week of raiding is basically how much you guys do.
Yes.
And how long does it take you guys right now to kind of get up to A12?
It'll
If
take
it's
us
good pulls, 1 pull on each fight. Probably less than an hour. Probably like 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
We have half of our raid time dedicated to catch up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basically.
So
And if it takes longer than that, then people aren't happy. And we have to focus up. But we have on and off times. This week wasn't great. The week before, though, we just went through it. And then other times were just, things like technical difficulties or people not there. So we're dealing with teaching new people. So I hate pugging people for progression.
It's
Just because
horrible. Like, who's in charge of getting people into the group? Is it always you, Drac, or?
Typically, I reach out to the people that we know, and if they know anybody. Right now, it's been really helpful having Kieran and a whole other group to pull from. So
And
more of us that
cross-server party finder.
that's been a huge blessing to us as well. So, like Kieran, I would be like, "Do you know anybody to fill in?" Because more of us at PAX East, and so she's always at those events. If you guys go to those, you'll see her. So she made that time. So we brought in, and Kieran's like, yeah, or Raisin's like, yeah, I know somebody, and I'll ask them. So I was like, all right, because if we don't have a huge network of people to pull from, so it's just really, if nobody comes on, then we figure out something else to do, or we can raid. So it's better to not do it at all than go in there and just do the first phase over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So for the well-being and mental health of the group, that's when kind of my decisions come in, and I say, let's not do that. So it works out.
Yeah.
And then but Jesse, Corey, and I will discuss it. Do we want to go through it? Is it worth it? And we'll usually say yes or no. And then that's what we tell the rest of the group.
I mean, it's it's rough having to deal with all this too. I mean, going through this raid tier, there's always going to be a day where someone has to be out, and I have to just pull from other groups. And it sucks when you get a clear with someone who's already done it that week. Like when we cleared A12 for the very first time, we had Zeno join in the group, and it was awesome to have him in there for that first clear. It was awesome. It was great. But we got the chests that did not have the weapon in it. And it was very painful.
Ow.
Yeah, it is one of the worst feelings because now we're just down 1 week of getting weapons. But I mean, that could have easily been like you get a duplicate weapon. It's like the same thing, but it's weird having to get subs in there because when you're working as a casual group, they're usually your friends. They're people you're working really hard. And you were talking about at the very beginning of the show how, Drac, when you had a group and they cleared without you, you're like, God, this sucks. But there are going to be days where you're at the edge of clearing and you can say, oh, well, we just stop our train of progression here and wait like another week before we get back on it, or we just keep the other 7 people who've been working on this going through it. And you don't want these people not to be in the group because then it feels like you're not really clearing it together. Does that make sense?
It's one thing if you're on a schedule. Like for my experience, we didn't really have a set schedule, or they did it on a day that we weren't scheduled to do it. And so that was why it was kind of a knife in the ribs for me. But that's the reason why we haven't done things like Zervin yet, because not everybody can be on for it. And I want, for video's sake and for group's sake, I want everybody to enjoy that together. At least for me, other people have cleared it, and other groups and stuff. Not everybody is going to go into the fight fresh. But, as far as the core group, I want us all as much as possible together on it. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't really hurt to put it off for us right now because it would hurt more if we spent a full raid day towards fights like Zervin and all that stuff, because we need it for progression. Right. So, and if we don't have everybody with us anyway, then I'm not going to go be like, hey, let's do something else that we haven't cleared yet and leave people out. I don't like that. So, right. Yeah, it's a tough spot, but you kind of just have to pick the lesser of two evils. Yeah. In that situation, what's better for your group. And so everybody usually appreciates that, and spending an extra week isn't the worst thing in the world.
Well, one thing when I was going through all your videos and I was making that intro video, I noticed is that there's a lot of videos that has people's names blurred out and stuff like that. So you're constantly thinking, hey, I got to make sure these people who didn't really agree to be on a video completely.
I try and be as considerate as possible. It's really tough until I figured out that I could just make their names like abbreviated, like they were afterthoughts. I was like, oh shit, I didn't do this on the video.
Right.
Especially if I'm making fun of somebody, like our, what was it? The
Lovely Dragoon friend in A3
Yep.
normal.
That's
A3
exactly what I
normal.
thought of. I remember him. He died.
A lot.
Well, makes sense. It's Dragoon.
I was like, dude, you messed up. And he's like, no, I didn't. I was like, I got it on video. Fine then. I was like, all right, boop.
Send me the video.
So I was more careful in covering up his stuff because I know that Reddit has rules and stuff, not wanting to shame people.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. But if you're going to be a jackass, then I'm going to take great pleasure in showing that off.
Yeah.
But for the other people, it's more out of courtesy. They didn't do anything wrong, except for Jesse and my run through A11 normal.
Oh God, please.
That was so bad. It was the worst. We spent like the full time wiping. And I need healing. You gotta do something. You gotta do something.
So was he just like in
possible to
cleric
die?
stance the entire time, or is he just like?
It wasn't
got hit
just
with
like the
propeller
healer, it
winds
was
every
everybody.
time.
Uh,
The healer got hit with propeller wind every single time.
It's almost
And then
like it was a new fight.
We
Oh.
did it 10 times. You should know. We said it like 3 or 4 times. You gotta hide for propeller wind, and they just didn't have it focus targeted. And we're trying to give all the advice as constructively as we can. Put on focus target. Watch out for this ability and this. They just would not listen. And so every single time it would just happen. And Jesse and I are just like, we're not going to talk about this ever again. This never happened.
Well, we just
Until
did.
we joke about it, yeah. So,
I mean, how do you guys feel like in the community? There's a lot of different types of players. All right, you got the casual players, you got hardcore players, you got world first players, and then you have bad players. That's how I like to categorize it. I mean, if you're a casual player, it doesn't mean you're a bad player. It just means you don't play that often.
Mm-hmm.
There are players who are very hardcore with their hours, and they spend like 50 hours a week playing the game, raiding, but they're still horrible, and they don't hide for things for like propeller wind. And they're like, no, it was the latency, the game. It was the game. It wasn't me. Look where my body's at. My body's in a good spot. So obviously, right, I did the mechanic.
Yeah. Sometimes there is validity to that, and I've shown it on the video when I get hit with stuff that I'm just like, why? And when Seabass gets hit with stuff, and things that are clearly, that you don't think that it is, or it's questionable. But yeah, those people are just hurting themselves really because they're not taking it into account that maybe I made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I'm infallible. I can't make mistakes. I'm the best. I am the main character of my anime. So
Right.
they take themselves too seriously, and the people who expect more than they should of people, it's not as bad as I hear it is in WoW, where a fight will come out or a new raid will come out on the normal levels like LFR or whatever the hell it is. I don't know.
Yeah, looking for
the letters.
Yeah.
Looking for raid.
Yeah.
But they the fight will come out and that day, and then like the following day or on the day of, they're like, how do you guys not know this yet? It's like, it just fucking came out, guy. And so my brother plays WoW a lot, and so he's always complaining to me about people being assholes on that. And so I'm glad we don't have it to that extent. I don't run into a lot of elitists or people who just think they're almighty in Final Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much as I used to. So it might be different cultures. I was on the European servers when I started, and I saw it a lot there. But it might have just died out by the time I came over to Lamia.
It's around, and so Lamia isn't really a big server, right?
It's gotten a lot. It's gotten fuller, but it's not. It doesn't have a huge community.
So I would say it's probably like on the lower end of a mid-sized server
Okay.
in terms of population.
So how I classify a server as a small server to me is if someone says the name, I'm like, I don't know what data center that's really on. I don't know anything about it. That's probably just a small server that no one knows or cares about. And Lamnia actually falls in that description for me. Do you guys know about Exodus? Are you familiar with that server?
No.
Okay.
No.
That was the server I was on. So now that would be classified as a small server to me because you guys don't recognize anything. But if I say like Gilgamesh and I say like Balmung, you guys have an idea what those servers are. You've heard them before.
Yeah.
Yes, I've heard things about Balmung.
I was on Gilgamesh for like a week or two.
Yeah? How'd you like it?
There's a
Well,
lot
he's
of people
still
over
a
there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That was back in my second group. I was on Diabolos, and then we had moved to Gilgamesh for a bit, and I didn't
wasn't
actually
that a
do a
fun
whole lot
time?
over there. Yeah, I wasn't actually doing a whole lot over there, so I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna go back to Lamia with my main. So
Yeah. And now it doesn't really matter what server you're on because you have cross-server party finder, and
Yeah.
it's been absolutely amazing in closing the gap for tons of different people. And it's amazing streaming. Streaming is fantastic because if there's someone out there and you're just streaming a random day, you can say, hey, yeah, let's get a group together, and some people in chat be like, yeah, I'll raid with you, and that's healthy for your stream because you're interacting with the people watching you. So it's been really good. And a lot of people who stream, and you guys are, and whether you realize it or not, you're part of the Final Fantasy 14 community, not the server community. I mean, you may be part of that server community, but in a more broad spectrum, you guys actually are past just servers. And so adding in this cross-server party finder connects you more with the rest of the people that already know who you are.
Yeah, my Twitter blew up as soon as it was announced, and they're like, "Wow, now we can be in groups together with Drakanous, and we can do those party finders." So I'm like, when I have the time, we'll think about it. We'll do it. But like,
Has it happened? I'm sure. But...
my schedule is just crazy. I want to do more. It's just hammering out the details and being on my own. It's weird working alone. Because you're used to schedule and everything's due at a certain time, and I don't ever intend to like have a constant release schedule for videos just because that's not how my process works, and it's impossible to do with how we work through it. I know you're gonna get to that.
Yeah. I haven't been following that document at all, by the way. I've been just kind of going.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to it, but yeah.
Yeah. So it's just it can be tough to try and find hours in the day for it.
So another quick question about your content. Do you do pretty much all of the work for it, or does anyone else kind of contribute?
Nope.
And
I do everything except for the characters. That is Super Spuddles on Twitter, or Archie on Twitch, or Archimedes in our Discord. I'm bringing in more artists, and it's becoming more of a collaborative thing, which makes it look like, in my eyes, professional. Where I'm just extremely happy with where it's at right now and how far it's come. And it's something that could never have happened with just me. But as far as our group, they bring in the views, and I make the video of what they do, and then their personalities bring in the views. So, and then I take credit for it.
So you're the person behind the camera, and Corey and Jesse are the actors on the screen.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yes. I try and stay as much into it as possible to mask my uninvolvement during raid otherwise, because I am so tunneled for DPS and stuff. So usually my comments you'll see are when I'm dead or pre-pull.
Well, let me
So
say
when
the
I don't
elitist
have
thing.
anything to
Well, you're playing a monk. I mean, what do you really have to pay attention to?
he's got to keep up his 0 damage somehow.
Yeah.
Monks have the best damage. They always look like they're doing a lot of damage. And so, you know what? I'm going to ask some of these raid questions to you guys who are kind of, again, the casual players of the game, right? So what are your thoughts on everyone... Delete Monk's a meme, right? Everyone hates Monk because they don't feel like it brings enough to the group. What are your thoughts on Monks in raid groups right now?
Here, Jesse, you go first.
All right. In all seriousness, while Monk does pretty damn good DPS, overall bringing to a raid, it doesn't really bring a lot. You have Dark Knight for the int debuff. Monk does not buff any other DPS. The only thing that Monk technically brings to a group is Mantra. That's it. you have nothing else other than they're pretty decent DPS.
And elite deeps, bitch.
Always on the top of the charts, yo.
Yeah,
Not in our group.
Bard. Bard. Reich has been catching up until one of the tanks dives, and all of a sudden I'm at the top of the list.
Strikes.
Corey,
See,
do you agree with that? Do you think that monks shouldn't be in groups? They should be deleted?
No, I
Okay.
like having monks. Who else am I gonna laugh at?
Oh, okay.
See, I don't. I think people should just play what they want to play.
Right.
And so if somebody wants to play a monk, I'm not gonna discourage them from playing it. But just objectively, they have mantra. Dark Knights have delirium for the int down.
Right.
Nobody else uses blunt resistance, and Dragoon has litany plus the piercing debuff for Mechanist and Bard, and Ninja has trick attack and then smokescreen and Shadewalker.
Yeah.
So it's just objectively plus goad. Goad is really nice.
Yeah. Are you guys aren't running Paladin for A12, are you?
No.
Okay. I did Paladin through A12. I'm in the top 100 Paladins for A12. There's only 450 Paladins for A12. Like, there's not a lot of people who have cleared A12 on a Paladin because they just don't want to do it. Right? So the thing is, like, monks, I feel like they bring a really good, like, mantra, whatever, brings a really good healing increase that's absolutely phenomenal for damage you can't reduce otherwise. For example, in A12, there's a mechanic where you can't debuff the boss to reduce the mechanic. You can't get around that unless if you have Mantra or Divine Veil, which are moves for
The classes no one wants to play.
Yeah, exactly. And so
actually, it's just not in the meta, so
yeah, yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, the meta is pretty straightforward. Don't bring any monks. Actually, the meta right now is what is it? It's Bard, Machinist, Dragoon, Ninja, I think. And then you have Dark Knight, Warrior, and Astra, Scholar. Yeah.
I know some people are doing double warrior just because they can.
Yeah, you can. You can run anything. Honestly, you can run double Paladin, 4 monks, and 2 white mages if you want to.
You
make it
could,
work.
but I'd also ask why you hate yourself.
Well, I mean, at the end, you want to add challenges to the game, right? You want to make things hard for yourself in some way.
See, a challenge is doing that with Ice Mage, no cleric stance, and
Ice Mage.
Ice Mage. Have you guys not heard the pleasures of Ice Mages?
Oh no, I know all about Ice Mage. I am Ice Mage.
Muscle Mage?
His talking about it actually inspired something that I want to do. I just haven't had the time since 3.4 came out.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we've cleared everything in like 2 or 3 days, or it's taken that long to like catch up with all the footage. And I'm still behind. But I've wanted to do job guides. And Very Merry does a version of it where it's like a kind of a spoof guide.
Yeah.
But his one to Ice Mage and just how much it triggered Jesse and how he's just like, the first time Jesse's like, I will not run anything with you ever again if you do this in a dungeon. And it's Corey talking on his Black Mage like, hey, let me just spam Blizzard 2 on all these mobs. And he's like, or you cannot. So that's always been fun.
Do it, man. Why not? That would be a good video, and I'm sure it would get a lot of views. I know it would. Because that's a meme of Final Fantasy XIV right now.
I have it written out for speaking of monks. I did write out a monk guide because that's what I knew first. I thought it would be appropriate to start with that one.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the second paragraph I have, for those of you who don't know, monk is a low versatility powerhouse DPS job based on ramping consistent damage via grease lightning stacks rather than burst damage. It is currently one of the highest single target damage jobs as of patch 3.3. This, however, is their only redeeming quality since they are otherwise completely useless to have in any endgame group. They're currently the only job that buffs and deals primarily blunt damage, making them the most self-centered job in player base to date.
All right, you guys just got a preview of the next video that's coming out, guys.
So I had fun with that, and I'm more than happy to take all the jokes and stuff for it. Sometimes I wish that other people would be put on the firing lines, but
well, dude, you have
I misprovoke.
In like
Back payment.
Stormblood, you're gonna be the center star, dude.
Yeah, that's what I want. So I'm hoping that they improve some parts of it, because no, it is true that Monks doesn't bring a whole lot, and it's made me consider bringing in other jobs that I like playing, but mostly just because I want to progress, and that's my priority rather than just playing what I want to play. And I started on Monk again in Heavensward because that's what I started as. I've always liked the martial arts classes and jobs in any game, hand-to-hand combat. It's something that I like to do IRL. It's one of my hobbies and interests. So I always like to make my characters as much emulating what I would like to do or do. So that's kind of why I gravitate towards it. But I love Ninja. Love the animations and stuff. I don't quite get the new rotation, so I haven't brought it in a whole lot, but it's geared. And so, I work on this stuff, but hopefully that the new stuff that they're talking about, the new interface, the new battle system really brings in. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah.
I hope it brings in some new good stuff.
I'm looking forward to it. I want to see monks and paladins and white mages come back. I believe in them. I know they're really great, and they deserve to be up there, guys. In my group, we run both paladin and monk, all right? And so the synergy's a little bit still there. I feel like paladin and monk, while it doesn't bring like higher DPS, it brings more survivability to the group. But some people will disagree, but whatever. I'm happy with it. Don't let people crush your dreams.
Who disagrees that paladin brings less survivability than either warrior or
Oh, you're going to
Dark
start
Knight?
like a whole, oh my god.
Between Hollowed, Cover, Divine Veil, Clemency.
Oh, you are going to trigger so many people. You don't even understand.
I don't have to understand. They're wrong.
Oh my god.
If I didn't play warrior, I would be playing paladin because I prefer it to Dark Knight.
I prefer paladin and Dark Knight because it's easier. It's something I can easily just focus on other things going on besides trying to keep up my mana and everything else.
Actually.
Actually.
Oh yeah.
So, paladin is not considered the most defensive job in tanking. It really isn't. I think warrior is one of the top, and Dark Knight brings in really, really good defensive abilities that kind of makes paladin not look as great. But we will have, if Xeno came on the show right now, he would rip you apart, Corey.
I see him in the chat.
Yeah, he would destroy you. And you'd probably never play paladin again, ever.
Doubtful. I don't let people influence what I do.
I'm my own man. Hey, look, I play paladin and I hear shit all day, so I don't care. I love paladin. I think they're cool. I like doing little things. I think home gang's absolutely amazing. Wait a minute, wrong class. Sorry. Hallowed Ground is absolutely amazing because Hallowed Ground actually lets your healers do whatever they want, and they don't even have to think about you. It's like, just don't think about me, ignore me. I don't exist anymore. Do whatever you want to do. And whereas Dark Knight, instead, you have to heal them up, and I think that it creates a more advanced tier for your group to have to deal with. It makes it a little bit more difficult for everything. But then again, we're not doing this. We're done. We're done. This is not this show. We're talking about casual rating. We're not going to do that. All right.
As soon as people get over opinionated though at that, I just start sitting back. I'm just like, oh yeah, no, keep going. Yeah,
keep going. This is good, guys. We're having a great time. Oh, Jesus.
Play your game.
How often do you guys get into these conversations where you're like saying this job versus this job? Do you guys have that a lot, or are you just like, screw it, we don't really care that much?
We have some serious discussion about it as far as like what a job brings to it, but mostly it's from people on Reddit saying, oh, this is the way you play this class, and we go, and so we're just ripping on people like that. But
Jesse and I actually get into like tank stuff couple times a month, probably. We go into it like for a couple hours at a time, just discussing and comparing the tanks.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, like it's good to do it. It's good to understand these jobs, and it makes you look into it. I leveled up all the different tanks. I will never play Dark Knight in game because I just like the fact that people hate it. I guess I think that's the only reason. And I like the fact that people hate Paladin. Sorry. And so I like playing that and making it work and trying to have fun with it and being creative with it, because you can be creative with it. And so I'm really familiar with tanks, and so every time that we talk about tanks, it's easy for me to go into a tangent about talking about tanking and turning the show into something completely different, which I almost did again, but I stopped myself. I did, guys.
Because that actually reminds me to one of your earlier MogTalks, the one with Xeno and Layla.
Oh yeah, it turned into a warrior show.
Actually 2 or 3 times. That was a really good one.
No, Layla is absolutely amazing. He's one of the most amazing people I've ever had on this show, just because he sounds like he knows exactly what he talks about, and he not only does he sound like he knows what he's talking about, he knows what he's talking about. So it's like, it's really good to have conversations with him, because again, he did world first in the first 2 tiers of this expansion, and so if you get him on a tangent about warriors, he will give you every little bit of detail that you would ever want to know about a warrior.
That's really what I appreciated, the way they went in, him and Xeno went in on the tanking, parry, all of the good stuff in that whole episode. That was like, what, 3 hours long?
Oh yeah. No, our shows.
That was a good episode.
We have a lot of shows, and you know what? Thank you, Corey. Thank you. You for understanding my show and recognizing something and recalling something that happened in my show, because it makes me feel better about what I do. Thank you.
You're welcome. I like keeping in touch with at least information that is part of what I do, and that tank talk was really, really informative.
Oh yeah. I try to have those shows. We're actually going to have a show next week on Astrologian. So if you have, I don't know if you have people in your group that really love Astrologians, but
well, we have an Astro, but
whether or not he loves it,
or not is up to debate.
How many times has he complained about the car change?
Oh please!
Every single day.
Every fucking time. Oh, you can't get into a fight without him saying something about it. He won't stop.
Oh my god, it's
I don't care if you're watching this either, Seabass. You don't fucking stop. Every fucking time. Oh, they fucked this up with Astro, and they said they do this, and Band-Aid, 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 and they said, Band-Aid, Band-Aid, Band-Aid. Every fucking fight.
Every single show. I say show every time, but stream. I don't know. Every single time that you guys are rating. It's hard for me to differentiate the two now sometimes. Have you guys kind of felt like that though? Have you kind of felt like when you guys raid, it's kind of like a show now? It's not just doing the content, or is it still just raiding to you?
Yeah,
to me, it's just raiding. I don't treat it any differently just because it's like streamed or recorded. I just do what I've always done in raids.
Yeah,
okay.
And I just let that translate.
Yeah, and that's the same for me. It is. I'm raiding. That's what I want to do. I'm not doing it for the entertainment value. I'm doing it to get the clear. And any disappointment, any satisfaction I get comes from the clear. And then the extra point on that is when we do something and it's like, please tell me you're recording, kind of a thing, and then that gets thrown into it. But overall, it's not strictly for entertainment value for other people. It's always what we like first, what we think is funny first, and or what we enjoy first, and that's the primary goal. And I think that's what translates so well when I upload this stuff, because then people are like, yeah, I can relate to that because it's genuine, it's real, it's what we actually do, and that's why people have subscribed, and that's why people have followed so much, and that's why we get so much love. I think is because I've stayed true to that formula. So when people come to me and say, oh, you should do this, you should do that, I'm not going to force it. That's not what we do. It's just us playing the game, us having fun, us hanging out, and us just being friends. And that's the main point that I want to keep. And that's why I always kind of, while sometimes parting with people is necessary, I like keeping as many people around that, we're familiar with, we're comfortable with, because that helps the overall atmosphere.
How much has your group changed over the expansion?
In what way?
Like people in the group.
We change out
like
every patch.
People who leave, come, all that stuff.
Yeah, Corey and Jesse have stayed consistent. CVS has been in and out. Uni dropped out, we lost, and just about every other DPS job that's not mine has been cycled through every new raid tier.
So when someone joins your group, do you have them sign a document saying, okay, we're making a video out of this, you have to accept it and deal with it? Or do you even say anything?
You know who we are, right? I'm like, our thing. And they're like, you've seen our stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah. I'm like, okay, then you know what you're getting into. Some people don't or some of the people that we've had don't get that it's still a raid group. We're still taking it seriously. We're still in to progress. So there are going to be stressful times. There's going to be a little bit of tension. That's, I think, is necessary in order to get people to focus up, in order to really push through those tough parts, really have those discussions. And you're going to be criticized every now and then, not to be like, you fucked this up. It's like, okay, this keeps happening wrong. Let's figure out how to fix it. It's not like, if you mess this up again, you're out.
Right.
Kind of thing. It's always, let's figure it out. And if people aren't willing to talk about that, and if they're not good with that kind of environment, then they kind of crumble to the pressure. And it becomes an ugly mess. And that's kind of what happened in the middle of A6 or A6. Is that just dying to the same stuff over and over and over again. We're trying to figure out why. And then the frustration's mounting, and then just people not able to, they just kind of, it blew up. And so then they started taking it on other people to kind of detract from what they were doing wrong. Yeah. And it just made it wrong.
I mean, I've had to kick people out of my group, like, not in the middle of stream, but you could tell at the end of the stream that this person wasn't going to be there for the next time that we raid, just because they do things that are just really negative, and they're not trying to improve. They go in there, and if someone goes, like, we had a tank once, and he just couldn't figure out how to play the game. Is the only way I could really put that. Like, he couldn't do cooldowns properly. He couldn't do anything properly, and we would say, hey, you need to do this when you do it. Then when the time came, did not happen every single time. It sucks. It really sucks. And I've had times where I've raged out on a couple of different people. That's just part of how it is. I mean, you go in and someone's not listening to you, and it sucks when it happens on stream too. Have you ever been like really angry on stream, like completely just destroyed somebody?
I have come close.
Yeah, Jesse
close,
tells me to
really
mute everything, and then we go off on it. Not me personally. I always wait for it at the end. Go ahead, Corey.
It's come close, but it's never really mounted to a head during raid and stream. It's been one time I can think of where we muted the stream, and we just Jesse told everybody, quit your shit so we can get past this and get to what we should be doing.
I mean, that's kind of what you have to do sometimes. I have never muted the stream, and I probably should do that. There's been times where people just weren't listening, or they would, I would say something and they would come back at me and be like, no, it's not my fault. I'm like, it's clearly your fault. Everyone knows what's happening is a mistake that you're making, and I do not want you to do that anymore. I want you to change up how you're doing it. And I've gotten into arguments, and then people in chat will start chiming in, and that's when you're like, okay, maybe I need to step back and try to calm this down, because this doesn't need to be a huge event where it becomes a spectacle for everyone else. This guy's a person, he doesn't want to be shamed on stream either, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had people join my group, and they haven't, they didn't know what we did. I was like, hey, I stream, and they're like, okay, whatever, I don't care. And they don't realize there's like 100 people watching them do really stupid stuff every once in a while. And when they realize that, sometimes they stop talking, and they refuse to talk anymore in TeamSpeak or whatever you guys are using too. Have you guys had shy people in your group?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And for various reasons. But I mean, every time, it's just as long as they're communicating to some degree, I'm not opposed to it. We have our core group that people recognize, and that keeps it going, as far as, in the raid group and in the videos, and that's all I really care about. But as soon as it starts, or as soon as it started to mess with things over silly reasons, then I would be like, no, that's not okay anymore. I take a much more utilitarian approach when it comes to raid. I'm the one, said Drex the asshole in that regard, is because I will say, you need to go, or this needs to change, even if it's going to hurt somebody's feelings. I don't like doing that, but it's the necessary thing to do, and that confrontation is necessary if you want to progress, in my mind. You don't have to be rude about it. You don't have to be mean. I try and be as respectful as I can, but sometimes just like, look, 7 other people are doing right, and you're not. and that's hurting the rest of the group. So we gotta think about what's better for everyone than just cater to your feelings.
Yeah.
So that's where I was come from it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you completely. In the end, when you're sitting there, you're talking to someone, and they're holding back the rest of the group, which is the 6 other people besides you and him, and you're just saying, hey man, look, this has to change. If this doesn't change, we're going to have to replace you, and that's just what it is. And either they can accept it or they can leave the group, and because them messing up is not just affecting you, it's not just affecting that one guy, you're screwing everyone else's night up that are doing the things right, and people aren't getting happy. And eventually, if people, you gotta focus on the health, I guess, of your static. If they're not healthy, then it's going to fall apart, and you won't have a group anymore.
Yep.
Or you could do it just like people do apparently on the JP servers, where if someone's messing up, everyone stays quiet. Then in the end, you're like, hey guys, we need to break this group up. Then you break the group up, and then you invite 7 people from that group, and the other person doesn't get invited back. And you just have a new group with the -1 person. So, wait a minute. Did I ask you, have you kicked someone out of your group before?
Twice. No. And I influenced getting somebody kicked out once in the previous group.
Okay. Did you feel good about that? You kind of had a smile.
Yes, I did. Yes, absolutely. Because it was handled really poorly, too, by the raid leader. Bless his heart. He... the guy was just a very, very negative person. And we didn't know if it was some sort of mental thing, like not to be offensive or anything. But if they had, we weren't sure if they had an Asperger's or some sort of actual, social disability. And so but we were in, what's that? We were in, making sure nobody was bleeding.
Oh, okay.
What was it, Ramu?
Yeah.
And Yuni was talking to me. We were waiting for somebody to come back. It was between polls, and she said something to me. And this guy chimes in. He's like, who's that? I'm like, it's my girlfriend at the time. He's like, does that have anything to do with the fight? And I was like, oh, okay. And so I was livid after that, and everybody was pissed off with me on that. And that he eventually apologized. I was still really upset. And then he just kind of kept that attitude, and everybody agreed, yeah, he's not good for the group. But then what the raid leader did was brought everybody into a group. It's like, hey, we need to talk about this. I was like, you are insane bringing in this guy against basically 6 other people, and to kick him out. That's the most fucked up thing in the world to do. So, but he had no idea how to handle it any better. I know he meant the best, he didn't. I was just like, so nobody said anything. Everybody was dead quiet. And so I had to chime in. I was like, look, this isn't okay. You say these things and it's whatever. So he put all 100% of the blame on me, even though it was a unanimous decision to get him out of the group. And we ran into him in Final Coil a little later. And he's like, aren't you that drat guy that got me kicked out of that one group? And I was like, I don't think so. And I just I got out. And so I was like, I don't think that's me. He's like, I was like, yep, nope, congrats on the loot. And I got out. And it's like, I don't want confrontation like that. But it was really funny. But that was it was the person who was being messed up to Jesse. And then it was the person who I've done it in the group in between that, where he was messing up Lightning for T9 every single time you mess it up. And as soon as we switched him out, I told him, I was like, look, you got to step out of this one. We'll get the clear. Everybody knows the fight then. Then we'll bring you back in and help you out. But as soon as we swapped him out, we cleared it with them. And then the last one with Nest was after A6. So I was like, the problems aren't fixing themselves. The attitudes aren't getting any better. So I talked to everybody. Am I imagining this, or is this a real problem? And everyone's like, no, that's a problem. And so I had to figure out how to come up with a solution for that. And it was not taken very well. And there was no even attempt to understand it. Why is this happening? Am I the only one? I was like, yeah. Yeah, you are. So yeah, it's never fun to do, even though I was not happy with the person at the time. I didn't want to cause them harm or pain or anything like that. I was just like, we just need a clean break from this and start over.
I feel like dealing with casual type of groups, this is a huge factor in comparison to like hardcore groups. Because if you're going in a hardcore group, you're like, hey, it's obvious you're not performing well. We're not going to have you in here. But it's not that fine of a line when you're raiding with friends, which is usually how most casual groups are. They're raiding with people they know and they're friends. But then you get one person who's completely dragging you down, and then you have to deal with the situation, and it's awkward because you don't. It's not like, hey, because that guy's probably like, oh, well, you guys just hate me, you don't like me, so you don't want me in there. Sometimes that comes into it where personality's a thing. Like if you have someone in the group, and like you said with him and Jesse, right, that was a personality issue. That wasn't really a skill. Well, was that a skill issue too, maybe? Where
Not
as
much.
No.
Okay.
It was all like something that had happened before that kind of like led up with personal issues and stuff. So.
Right. Whereas like super hardcore groups, sometimes they're like, I don't care, this guy's a complete dick, but he never messed up a mechanic and he does everything perfectly, so he's staying in the group because we want world first. So.
Yeah, you make your compromises based on your priorities, and so if that works for people, then great. But it's not a situation that I ever enjoyed being in, so that's something that I tried to avoid.
Yeah, I always try to have fun with the game. I mean, like I know it's everybody.
It's a game. Have fun with it.
Yeah, you should have fun, and if you're not having fun, something is wrong, and that does need to be fixed. This shouldn't be something where you come into and you say, well, I have to just work as my job, it's my secondary job here. It should be your time away from work, and you're having an enjoyable time when you're doing it. And so, yeah, I guess like they're saying here in chat too, a toxic attitude could be really bad for hardcore prog as well, but some people can easily put up, you I don't know, you just make certain exceptions if it means you're going to get clear faster. With some groups I've talked to, but
yeah,
but it's okay. So you guys, we had this whole conversation, and we're not going to get into it's not just a game thing. We didn't say it's just a game, guys. I know some people kind of have their own different thoughts on what that actually means as a phrase. We had this whole big, on our last show, we had this whole thing where people were saying, hey, it's not just a game. And it's a good point, because people come in here, this is part of their big part of their life. They get friends here, they have lots of people they know. It is a lot more than just a game in the end. But
it's a social interaction, it's a hobby, you know, right. It's more than, games have evolved so much more, and especially with Final Fantasy franchise, it's, you know, an interactive novel essentially, without actually being a VR. What is Seabass Weeb out to? Those
VNs.
VNs. Yeah, visual novel. Yeah. So he whatever characters he gets his body pillows from in there. He doesn't, but we tease him about it.
Okay. You didn't have to clarify. You could have just left it there. It'd been fine.
I could have, but you know.
That he could have, but if he didn't, I would have.
Oh, okay.
we take care of our own if it's an actual. You know,
Seabass
we don't want.
and I are like super anime nerds.
Well, I mean, that's good. Anime's great, dude. Anime can be really good.
Yeah, it is.
And then it can be really horrible and stupid, and half the time they're just showing half-naked cartoon characters, and the story makes no sense, and everything in the show makes no sense, and that's 50% of anime, but there's some really good anime out there, too.
Yes, there is.
Fan service.
Yeah, I can't stand it. Like if I start to watch an anime, and again, this is a complete tangent, but I have to say it. Like if I watch an anime, and within the first 10 minutes, nothing makes sense, and all I see is like shower scenes with anime girls in it, I click off because I know what I'm going to get for the rest of the entire show. Yeah. This is what they're catering towards. I can't watch it anymore. I have to watch a show. Like Cowboy Bebop, I got into like immediately. Of course, this is like the highlight for most people who got into anime. They watch Cowboy Bebop, and now they're like anime nerds, right? What are your guys' thoughts on that Cowboy Bebop? Real quick, I have to make sure I know your stances.
This is a point of contention from the original Nest group. I would make fun of Cowboy Bebop.
Oh God!
Because it's a cartoon. And, no, sorry. Someone said it can't be an anime because it's good.
It can't be an anime because it's good?
Correct.
Yeah, that was another. The same person that I had issues with.
That's a trigger statement.
Yeah.
Maps aren't wrong.
Because he would rag on me. he would rag on me and Seabass for liking anime.
Oh.
But Cowboy
if anybody
Bebop
watches
was the exception to the rule.
Yeah, if anybody's watched only Afro and they've seen the latest like Overwatch videos he's done, the guy they make fun of, Smilo, that's essentially who we had in our group, to a lesser degree. But in game, he was really bad. But I've watched a little bit of Cowboy Bebop. I never got into it because it was like on Adult Swim, so I'd only catch various episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I liked what I saw, but at the same time, it wasn't really my niche. Wasn't my genre that I typically gravitated towards.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd watch it if it was on, kind of a thing.
Yeah, no, I always felt like it carried itself with each episode, and you didn't really have to keep up with it. You could watch an episode and enjoy it because it had a little story for each one. But it had a background story too going on, and apparently it's a lot worse if you listen to it in Japanese. Like the English translation was like amazing. It opened up the world of anime to a lot of people. But okay, we're done. We're not going to do it. This is not a weeb show. We aren't weebing out here. All right. Talking about body pillows and stuff. Oh, jeez. The world is weird now, guys. The internet has made the world a weird place. There's so much crazy shit. All right, so let's get back. I gotta just
tangent's done.
Zoned out. Casual rating with this game. You guys feel like it's in a pretty good spot. You guys are having a good time with it. You think creator's been really good. A lot of people are unhappy because of the difficulty of it. And do you guys think that they need to increase the difficulty to creator, like add another layer of it, or is it like where they have it right now is perfect in your perspective?
Like are you talking about something like they do in WoW, where you have like LFR, normal, heroic, and mythic, like that kind of thing,
sort
like
of,
another tier?
Yeah. In a way, not like different, like you don't need a 24-man version and an 8-man version. You can have just 8-man straight
just across. Like a difficulty up, like Savage 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if they added a Super Savage, that would basically placate the player base.
Yeah,
We get our raid, they get their super hard raid. Everybody's happy.
I would honestly move it up a notch. I would take normal and make that Savage. Not saying that difficulty, make Savage as difficult as the normal mode, but like make Savage the baseline where we have it now with Creator. Because people can be dissatisfied with it, and I think they have a right to that, and I don't think they're wrong for that, especially when you get to the higher levels of player skill. But you also have to think or remember that it's a business, and when they did that for Gordius, to try and placate those people, it killed their community, and it made it a very inhospitable place for players to actually enjoy the game, and the whole point of the game is to enjoy it. Not to say that having really hardcore material is bad, but you can't make that like the baseline or make that the only thing. So I would have Savage, what we have now.
The difficulty where it's at like that should be what most of the community could work towards.
Yeah, because Coil was fantastic. The difficulty level of Coil, like it was hard enough where you could go in there, but like I had no idea how to do MMOs. I had no idea how to raid, and I progressed through it just fine. It took time, but I got through it, and we had fun. We strategized, we found new groups, and we developed as players, and that's a great system for it. And then they added a Savage for that, which was like where the devs had a hard time with it, kind of a thing. And I thought that was a great system. The rewards weren't really enough to entice enough people, I guess. But I think that's where it should have been, or where it can be. You were at FanFest, the response to getting rid of normal mode was really high.
Right. Well, I mean, FanFest is kind of like a weird, I guess, perspective on the community, because people who go to FanFest are very dedicated Final Fantasy 14 players.
Yeah.
But I mean, the people who are really involved. But then again, like half the questions they asked were about glamour and crafting when they were doing the open question.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I know what you mean. A lot of people wanted to get rid of it. So I think the way that they're doing it right now, if they add that extra tier, that extra level, and Second Coil had its own version of Savage, and that was great for people who wanted to go out there and have that extra hardcore content. But they need to add a carrot on a stick for some people. Yeah. Like the conversation is. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was saying I wouldn't mind throwing out another few item levels on some gear or
Yeah.
making it
Like
like
not
some special
huge,
gear.
like 5 eye levels, right?
Yeah.
Instead of
and,
10. You know.
I mean, there are those people that are just amazing at the game, way better than us,
Mhm.
and great to watch and great to see. It's fantastic, and more power to them for doing that. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, well, they just don't have a life, and for all those people that just want to play the game, no, it's like it's great that they have that skill level, that they want that entertainment, and if Square can do that, that's great. But you can't sacrifice 90% of the community for that 10% that will actually benefit from it. So yeah, that's my thought on it. I think they should get something. I definitely think they should get something because they are supporting the game. They're expressing it healthily that they want more to it, and I think they should. I think they should have the opportunity, but Square should not kill the rest of the community. Like
that particular point is where I think, like your example where they toss a couple eye level on it, is where I think WoW did it right with the difference between 10 and 25 man modes. Instead of bumping up the amount of players, just bump up the difficulty. In Final Fantasy, like a super savage, for lack of a better word.
Right.
And then give it an extra 5 eye level, and then maybe make the regular savage not dieable, and then the higher stuff dieable. So if you really want it, you can work for it. Otherwise, this is what you get. It's still very close. It's just
well, the only thing I think is like an issue with cosmetics is that like people who are really good at the game are inspired by pushing their limits and making their numbers higher, and that's what they want. They'll go and do speedruns and everything. If they can get tools that will even make it just slightly better, that's all they need for inspiration, completely. I feel like glamour in itself costs more resources to be able to make something, to be able to do different things with glamour. Changing colors doesn't probably cost too much resources for them, but bumping up a couple of stats and throwing out a new item that looks pretty much the same, just a little bit better. Maybe add a little effect glow around it or something.
I was gonna say like the relic glow. Just put that on the weapons from the final fight, and then that's a good reward.
I think
something
that's
to work
good.
for.
Yeah.
Actually, give Dark Knights their fire.
Please.
Wait a minute, I haven't heard
Please
this
don't.
statement. All right, why give them their fire? What's this all about?
The Dark Knight fire. What was it? Back when they announced Heaven's Ward. I believe you can see it in like the ability test video. The Dark Knight turns on Darkseid, and you can see like black flames under their feet. And it's like this awesome like animation for like their stance that they have on, or their buff that they have on. I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna be so cool. Heaven's Ward comes out, they removed it because it looks stupid when you were mounted. I'm just like, but
and
why?
that's why we got the current Darkseid, which everybody was like, just let us turn it off. That's when you know you really screwed up, is people are just like, I just don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
it would be better to not have it at all.
Do you guys remember the first time you got a Chuckbow mount in this game? And you remember it had that music, right? The Chuckbow music? And you rode around on it? It took me one day to unflag that music mount with music. Like, I just couldn't stand it after one day. I was done. I was like, I'm enjoying the environment. It's very nice. Then, doo-doo, or whatever that Chocobo song is. And I'm just like, I don't want this. Yeah, it's like, get out of here, man. I'm done with it. So, I mean, they can add these options. Just toggle on and off, and I think it'd be pretty easy. So, yeah. I mean, and the other part that I want to highlight with kind of your experience with raiding, you guys were talking about how when you were doing the last couple tiers, this tier is the first time you've actually made it to like the last boss, and you were actually making real progression on it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to have my mic on when we beat it.
Yeah. The last time we got close to something like that was back when Drac and I and Seabass were in Second Coil. We had made it all the way to T9 on content, but then our group just died. Yeah, because of our healer. Healer left because of reasons. But this is the first time that we've made it this far again, because we only beat A1 in Gordius, and we beat A6 in Midas, and now we were up to 12 in Creator.
So I guess my question for you then, in regards to that, when you're going through an entire tier, and I've done this too. All right, so my experience, I'll just go ahead and tell you what it's been for these last 3 tiers. This tier, we finished A12 a month or 2 ago. The tier before that, we got to A7, we beat that, and people in chat were talking about all the drama of A7. A7 was such a goddamn clusterfuck fight for us. Like, we lost people, we had to like put people in there. I've yelled at people. Those balls pissed me off so much, I couldn't take it. But hold our story. And then we got into the last one, and we touched A8. We didn't really do too much with it, and that was exhausting, going for months of raiding and going towards this one fight for months. Then the tier before that, we beat A3, which that, to me, when we beat A3, we were done with that tier. There's nothing else we needed to do. We didn't need to go on and do A4, even though we went in there and touched it. So those 2 tiers, we didn't actually complete the last fight in both of them. And so I guess my question is, when you go through an entire tier and you don't finish the very last fight, do you guys have this like remorse, or do you have any kind of negative feeling about it, or you're just like, whatever, it didn't happen, it's okay?
Depends on what caused it. If it was something like, oh, we made it to the final floor like now, and it's like, oh, we can't beat it just because either we didn't raid enough or we didn't get enough like time in to do like practice on 12 or whatever. But if it's something like what happened in Second Coil for us, where it's like our healer left because of some reason that we didn't really have an explanation for, and it's just the group died, like that is where it's just like, why?
Right.
Why did you let the group die? We were so close. We finally started to do the final floor of this tier, and that sucked. But right now, if we don't finish A12 for whatever reason, I'd still be okay, because we made it 3 floors through. We never did that for the past 2 tiers, so I'd still be happy even if we didn't.
Every tier we've cleared one more fight than the one before it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a really good feeling too. I feel like us accomplishing that A12 clear was amazing for us, because we didn't get that last fight for the last 2, and so we felt like we've done it. We've actually went through this tier, and we feel good about it. We do know, of course, hey, this tier was easier, so that did give us an advantage to it, but it didn't stop the fact that I was happy that we cleared it, and that I felt like we accomplished that as a group. And so the other side to that is that other groups that are really hardcore and they go for this stuff, they're done with the fight within for 2 days. Now they have 9 months until the expansion comes out and they get more content. And so that extra tier in there would make it great. But then if we add that extra tier, if you guys are rating at the same level you're rating right now, you don't hit that last level of Savage, right? Or the Super Savage. Would you guys be okay not being able to get into that?
Yeah.
I'd be okay with it. I'd want to, like, if we were able to beat 12, I'd want to go and try it out to see how hard I'm going to get killed.
Right.
But I have no expectation to go and down Super Savage.
Okay.
Because I know what my limits are personally.
You also have to think of the mentality that people go into those fights, and they really want to clear those. The world first is their goal. It's not to... I'm not going to say that they're not enjoying the game the way they should. But that's how they enjoy the game. That's what they're going in for. It's not really to prolong it and make it that social thing. This is a competitive thing for us.
Right.
At least that's what my perception of it. If that's wrong, then don't get mad at me. I'm not trying to call you out on anything. But it's more of, if you want that experience, then that's what you're gonna get. And so if people are having that extra tier would at least give them a little bit more time to work on stuff and to do that little extra. Whereas, I'm fine being with 90%, 99% of the community getting through that. It'll be something to aspire to. But so far, we've had a different group every time we go into a raid, so there's no real baseline for us, aside from the performance and the numbers that us 3 put out, basically. That's what we know, and that's the performance and the consistency that we know. But then we have to rely on 7 other people. I can math. A number of other people.
5 other people.
I'm like, carry the one. The 5 other people to get their stuff together, and it's a matter of skill. It's a matter of attitude. all these different things that can come into play. We've asked people we haven't kicked people out, but we've asked them to step down from attitude, and then they come back later. And if it starts to become a problem, then they're basically on probation, kind of a thing. That's when we get into our like kind of reward punishment system. It's like, if you're gonna make it bad for everybody else, you're not gonna raid with us, because everybody else is here to have a good time. Everybody else is here to progress. And if you're just going to make a fuss the entire time and make it difficult for everybody to enjoy it, then mute yourself or leave, and we'll find somebody who wants to be here. Because, you know, as soon as people wanted to come back, do you want to come back, or do you feel obligated to come back? Because if you want to come back, that's fine. But if you feel obligated, then that's just going to be another chip on your shoulder.
Right.
So you have to make sure that that's a thing. And as far as not clearing up to a certain point, I'm with Jesse in that it depends on why. I'm always disappointed if a group falls apart before we get the chance to go into other floors. You know, from whatever happens.
So you're
from people leaving.
You're not upset if, like, in the end you don't accomplish something, even though, as long as you guys feel like you tried your best with the situation you guys had, and it wasn't turned into a horrible situation because of something really stupid.
Yeah, I know I left everything out there. I know I tried my best, and that's just kind of the thing. As soon as it's done. It's a missed thing, and you just kind of got to move on from it. So hanging on to it is kind of unhealthy. I
gotcha. So there's two more questions I kind of have that I'd like to ask about just your rating experience and everything else. You know, ACT is a huge thing for players. Do you guys think that DPS numbers and everything else is like really big for your group? Do you guys ever pay attention to it, or?
Yeah, we do have our logs. It's not the main focus until it's a problem.
Okay.
Like if we're not pushing a phase, we look at where the issue is. We do have people that are noticeably lower than others, but we push the phase just fine. We get through the fight. We're not wiping at 1% consistently, kind of a thing.
Okay.
If it ever gets to that problem, then we talk to the person and we say, let us help you. And that's the mentality behind it. Not, we got to get somebody who's better, kind of a thing. Okay. They're putting in the time. They're doing in what they want. They're dedicated, and that's rewarded with, you know, loyalty. Of a certain extent. So, but hasn't been an issue for a long time. Necessarily, like, not a noticeable issue, kind of a thing.
All right. And the other question I had here, oh Jesus Christ, I had it. Screw it, I forgot it. Like, I had it. I was like, remember this question, Frosty. You can do this. You can remember both these questions and get it out of the way. But it was something to do with how you guys were rating and how content was going and everything else. I'll come back to it. Maybe I'll remember it then. All right. So to get back to this little document that we have, let's see. What did I miss here? I think I actually hit almost everything here within this line, just indirectly, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, Drak, this is kind of a question that I have for you. And by the way, if you guys have questions, I didn't really say it the entire show, and I probably should have. But if you have questions, Carrara is here. So if you want to know anything about Drak, you want to know anything about Corey, Jesse, any kind of questions at all, ask them now, because we'll get to the viewer questions here in just a second. And if there's nothing there, we're just going to say, screw it. We're not going to ask you any viewer questions and be done. You won't know what kind of ice cream Drak likes. I mean, this kind of stuff just won't be asked. So if you have any questions at all about their experience with content creation, their experience with rating, or just random BS, feel free to ask it. So, Drak, when you're making a video, like, how much footage do you have to go through, and how long does that take? Is it like, hey, we have every single raid attempt we've ever had, and you have to go through every single one and pull out information, or how does that work?
Depends on the fight. Depends on how long we're in the fight. Depends on what phases in the fight we get into, and it depends on if I'm streaming. Because if I'm streaming, then I can't really stop or start the recording at a certain point. I just have the whole thing to go through. But I know I kind of keep mental notes as much as I can about when something good happens. But like for A11, I didn't record for 2 or 3 weeks just because we were on the same thing. We're trying to get through that thing. And if nothing happens notably when I'm recording something, I just delete it. But you've got fights like Sophia that took literally one lockout, so I had an hour and 45 minutes of footage to make a video out of. A9 was 1 day, right? No, 2 days.
A9 was 2 days.
2 days. A10 was 2 days or a day and a half. Was it right? Or is it?
I think it was
2.5 days.
A10.
A10.
I think it was 2.5 days. Or was
It was close to almost. I think it was almost 3 days. I want to say.
Yeah.
'Cause we definitely went through a full week, and then
got stuck on like the
half
first
of another
phase
week.
before Steamroller for a bit.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah. On the shorter fights, about 4 to 6 hours of footage to go through, and editing each part of that, just as getting the clips together and getting the timing right, is about 2 or 3 times that of work on my part. And then, then I put in the characters, and then I put in the words and the placeholders and stuff, and that takes another 2 to 3 times as long to make sure that there's enough room in the text box and how the words come on the screen and where I'm breaking them up and positioning and all that stuff, and the faces now. So everything I do to improve the quality of the videos does add time, but I work really hard to make sure that it's efficient. But always my last day of work on the video always takes 12 to 16 hours. I'm just going straight through it to make sure that it's out on that day. As soon as I see the light at the end of the tunnel, I can't stop working on it. So,
Right.
And Uni's understood that. And she's like, I know when you're in your zone, that's it. But other times I'm just like, it's like pulling teeth trying to get me to sit down and work on something. Just because I know what's ahead of me. So it can take anywhere from 2 to 3 days to 2 weeks to get a video out.
Well, Jesus.
Because that's factoring in my time with family and
Right.
relaxing and doing stuff that I want to do.
Yeah. Oh, that you want to do. Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah, like I said, it's not always inspiration based to do the videos. I do it out of I like doing it. I like the reward from it, and I love doing it for the fans. But it's also kind of an obligation to the fans for supporting me so long, and that's why I do it, and that's why I keep putting in the effort, and I try not to cut corners, and I make it good. So it's hard for me to get into a flow and really enjoy the working if I don't have a vision for what it's going to be. So I just kind of go off of what we have, and then I make it into something. Whereas before I was like, oh, I can do this with the video, and then this can be a part. And so that was with T9. And then ever since, it hasn't really been like I haven't had jokes in my head waiting to go into it.
Okay.
So very, very rarely does that happen. Especially now because we're 2 or 3 weeks out into another fight by the time I'm getting to the last fight, kind of a thing, because of the editing process. So good. I've spent a lot of time on it, and I know you guys mean well, but it irritates me to no end when I post a video and you're like, have you beaten the next fight yet?
A11 was actually a nice reprieve for him. He got to breathe, because going from 9 to 10 straight into 11, he's like, oh god, please not again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's rough. When you spend, like, I think 9 and 10 we beat with almost the same week. And then, like, both 11 and 12 took about the same amount of time to kill. Because it's just, you have to spend, like, weeks and months on the same fight. And that gets exhausting. That really gets exhausting. Do you guys get burned out after a while? I mean, I showed your A11 video at the very intro of the show. And you were definitely very happy, Drak, on the kill. You were very vocal about it.
Yeah, yes I was.
Is that like? Do you think that's an issue with the game right now? Is that we don't have enough fights to kind of keep us busy, and so like you're constantly pounding your head against the same fight for months?
No, because there's enough to each fight that each phase is like a new kind of experience. Sort of a thing. The only thing that gets tiring, 11, I love how they did it, but I hate the fight. Not because it's the wall, not because it's difficult, but because it's everything. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There's no like moment of respite. You always have to be ready, in position, do this, do that, get ready for that to happen, react to this. And it's just like on top of keeping up positionals, making sure you have the right buffs up to maximize your DPS, making sure you're in position, and then the foresight of what's going to happen is just mentally taxing for me. Like, I cannot multitask that much. I'm in overdrive throughout the whole fight. So we get to A12, and it's like, just do your DPS. Now just go to that side. Now we're going to stack. I'm like, this is heaven. This is amazing. People are like, A12 is going to be so much worse. I'm like, fuck you. This is fantastic. I don't have to worry about anything. I have like 5 seconds to get into position. This is amazing. Whereas like Laser Sword is like, get over to the other side.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it really depends on the fight, and it goes case by case. I'd love to have more content in there, but for now, it really just, you have to take into consideration real life.
Yeah.
Like Corey has school and work, Jesse has school, I have videos to work on, which is now my job, and then family, and what little of the social life I have left. So aside from the game.
I gotcha.
And so yeah, it's hard to get as much time as you want to out of the game, and that's a big problem that I've seen with the game, is that it has very little solo content to keep yourself busy when your friends are busy. That's what I haven't liked that's what I feared about video content, is that when raids were done, when we were waiting for the next raid to come out, when the teams fell apart, I had no idea what to put out. Like, I tried different things, and like they just crashed and failed miserably, and people were getting so mad. When are you just done with Final Fantasy now? I'm like, I just don't have anything to put up. We're not raiding anymore, so I went into Dark Souls. Some people like that. I tried Bloodborne. Jesse liked that. And then, yeah, just you wait, you motherfucker. And I'm trying Pokemon and stuff. I'm doing all these different things. I really want to get into Monster Hunter. That's my first love as a video game. But now, having this level of difficulty in the raids and having our pace has been perfect for me, just because I always have something to put out. People are always getting their videos. I'm never going to make promises that things are going to be out every week. I'm not that bro science life. Okay. New video every everything. I know that it takes a long time, and I hope people that I've enjoyed people expressing their appreciation for how much effort gets put in, even though it takes a long time. So,
all right, let's go through the viewer questions. Now we have our fifth guest back. It has returned. Let's do the first question here is from Vengeance. Why does Corey like killing Drak? In particular, what enjoyment do you get out of that?
His fear. The fear in his voice when he's like, no, get away from me. When I bring something that shouldn't be near him close to him.
Okay.
I discovered that in Ravana Normal. When we were leveling up in Heavensward, I had the little arrow with the purple circle around me. And Drak didn't necessarily
You're still an
get
asshole
healed.
for that.
He didn't necessarily get healed in time by the time the AoE went off, and so he died. That was a good feeling. That's payback for bringing your Zeta Ninja in while I have not even I-90.
I was still leveling.
I'm learning how to tank.
You know it.
Okay, so to follow that up, we do have a perfect question. Bowmage says, when Corey cleaves the group, does he prefer to do it as a surprise cleave, or does he like to announce it when he's about to do it as his intentions are, or what his intentions are?
I like both. There are times when it's more fun when nobody expects it coming. It's even better when Jesse's in on it, and then we do cleave roulette on Faust Z in A9. That is a good moment when I asked Jesse's like, should we do this? And he's like, sure, and he spins the boss.
It's like, sure.
It's like,
let's make
it's
it
like,
happen.
hey,
the damage
Riot.
is split, huh? I wonder if it's random. Turns the boss around, DPS dies. Yeah, it's random.
And then it's like, hey, Raya, guess what? What? Dead.
Very
It's
good.
like, I wonder what this does, punishing heat.
It's a good way to
This
test
is
it
fun.
out. I mean, like, what's the worst that can
You
happen?
learn a
They'll
lot
get
about
upset,
the
right?
mechanics. When you play with the mechanics, you learn
Yeah.
a lot about them, and it
Yeah.
makes it easy to deal with if you really want to.
And you know how to kill people a little bit easier, too, if you understand how the mechanic works fully, right? All right. Drak, this question is for you from Meow. Very nice name. It's actually Meeyao. Threw me off guard there. Drak, are you going to get honor Are you gonna get for honor and fight Jesse 1v1 on stream? Are you gonna fight Jesse 1v1 on stream?
Oh, it'll get us in preparation for Samurai Duel coming up when that releases.
Nice.
But yeah, I really want to get excited for that game. But Ubisoft, and they've had an absolutely horrible track record for development. So my hopes aren't up too high. I saw it and I was like, this is going to be a great game. But I'd love to fight people on that. It's just a matter of if people want to see it, because there's, like I said, my time is already spread pretty thin. Right. So I've got to utilize it most effectively to what the most people want to see. And so if there's enough demand, then I'll probably do it.
Okay. I didn't know that was a game at first. I thought it was just part of the sentence, and that's why it was so hard for me. It's like, that didn't make any sense to me at all. Okay. So next question we have here, Pukajitsu asks, who's the best at Lord of Verminion?
Between the three of us, nobody plays.
Never done it.
Anyone in your group play it at all?
Not that I know
of.
Well, you guys, there are less people who play Lords of Verminion than there are people who are world first raters. So
I'm not surprised.
That makes sounds about right.
I would, if I had to just throw a number out there, and even if I didn't know the statistics, but just said it, I'd feel confident that was correct either way. So
it was something that had a lot of potential, but an absolutely garbage interface. Yeah. Like it's horrible. Oh yeah, I hate it.
From playing StarCraft 2 and going to that was like I wanted to vomit.
Oh god.
Like I just couldn't deal with it. Like I love StarCraft 2. I love our StarCraft 2 is what revitalized my love for RTSs. Like it was just great. It was wonderful. And I was like, yeah, sure, a mini game RTS in Final Fantasy. I know it's not going to be great, but I didn't know it was going to be horrible. And that I couldn't play it because of how bad the interface was with it. So yeah.
I took one look at the interface and the reveal. I'm like, that's garbage. I'm not even going to try and unlock it.
Yeah. You're not alone.
I love how it's still in the patch notes. And if you want to get into a Lords of Verminion tournament, it's like, oh yeah, all three people
are
doing that. You really needed to spend the resources there. How about just scrap it or fix it?
Yeah, just throw it to the ground, just like they did kind of Diadem until recently where they're making a big change to it. They hadn't really even touched Diadem forever, man.
Yeah, we got into Diadem and it's just like, I didn't know this was a Korean game. Korean MMOs, it's all about RNG.
Right. But there was no real RNG to it. Sort of. I mean, the gear was completely right.
Yeah, it was entirely, because it was you go in there and then you have to get the right gear. And then you have to make sure that gear has the right stats for you. And then you have to wait on your roll and see if that is in your favor. And so, like, it was bad. It was a really bad system. I wanted to do it for, like, crafting materia and all that stuff. And but like for gear, it was just the worst.
Yeah, and making it to where the gear in there was actually good if you got a really good RNG. It was supposed to be inspiration, but I think it just pissed people off.
I got irritated when I saw like people wearing some shitty ass Diadem piece instead of something that was actually good. I'm like, it's like it has more stats. It's better. I'm like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's kind of how a lot of people were responding at first. They're like, oh yeah, tons of parry on there. I'm like, oh my god. KKOZ88 KKOZ. Jesse, would you say that you had an actual minor heart attack the first time you beat Faust in A1S?
Yes. Yeah, I did. That because I had played Paladin since like all of Second Coil and all that, and even T9 was not as stressful as tanking Faust for the first time and trying to actually beat it. God, that was so hard.
Yeah, that damage was pretty rough. I mean, Faust it's been recurring the entire expansion, but never to the level it was at A1. It was the gatekeeper of Savage, and it was pretty amazing.
Oh, he became the meme ever since. Which version of Faust are we gonna get now?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Faust.
What?
It's
I think
our
the
A9 video. I think
Oh.
Jesse's hyped for the new Faust, and it didn't have the name he wanted, so he was a little butthurt.
Yeah. It was supposed to be, I think someone had said it on the subreddit at one point. I think it's Comic Faust, King Faust.
Oh.
That was supposed to be the the last one, but it was Fausty. And I was like, oh, that's still pretty cool though. But
Yeah, Frosty.
Yeah.
Frosty. Yeah, I got that joke too going. Nimhi here asks, which Final Fantasy is your favorite? This is directed to all three. You guys can just fire off which one is your favorite. I'll start with Drac here.
Okay. What for? Say that
Final
again,
Fantasy.
sorry?
Which Final Fantasy game is your favorite?
Fantasy. I haven't played too many of them. I liked 11.
11?
Aside from 14, 11 was probably one of my favorites.
MMO.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, as an MMO. And it was like really the first Final Fantasy that I'd gotten into aside from 10 was the first one that I saw, and I just saw like really cool cutscenes, and it looked really nice. You know, a friend of mine was playing it, so I was like, oh, I want to play this too. But 11 was my first MMO, and I said that to somebody at FanFest in 2014, and they looked at me because I was only 13 when I played that one.
Yeah.
No, I was 12. 12
It was a
like
long
11
time
or 12.
ago. Yeah.
A very long time ago. I've had the name Drakanous ever since that game, but they looked at me and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry that you had to be exposed to that community, because it was as bad, if not worse, than WoW in terms of like elitism.
Really?
Like player base, like how negative they were towards people. In some respects, like he was just listing off like if you didn't have this stat, like people believe this myth of stats, and if you didn't run this, then you'd just be removed from a group, or I mean, it was the dawn of internet kind of a thing at that point. So people were just like learning how to interact with people. They were getting that anonymity through an MMO, and like people were just savage. Yeah, I met some really cool people I'm still friends with, but like there were some pieces of work.
Nice.
On that. So
Okay.
yeah, it
So
was
11.
pretty bad.
11 for you
was
though.
great.
Okay. Jesse?
I haven't played that many other Final Fantasy games, but if I had to say my favorite, 13-2.
13-2?
Yeah, if I was gonna, I know I'm gonna probably get flack for that, but out of the ones I've played, that one's probably my favorite.
We're done with you. Corey?
I would have to say 14 because it is the only Final Fantasy game I've ever played.
You guys are Final Fantasy noobs. Holy crud.
Yeah.
That's intense,
Largely.
man. All right.
I was big into WoW before Final Fantasy, so that's where all my experience comes from. I have no Final Fantasy experience.
I gotcha. No, I started off in my first Final Fantasy game where I was actually playing it was Final Fantasy 4, which was 2 in the American release. And then the first game I bought was Final Fantasy 6, which is one of the ones that people always are like, oh, it's the best Final Fantasy and everything else. But okay, we're past that. You
get a
guys
long
have shamed
answer from
yourself.
Seabass.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Seabass would give you just a laundry list.
Well, you guys have shamed yourself with Final Fantasy knowledge right now, so we'll go past that question. We're done with it. Are you guys going to pick? You guys didn't even play 15? You guys didn't even try to get into that or anything?
Fuck 15. Fuck 15. 15 was a garbage heap. I don't care who reviews it. It sucks. I hate it. It's a dumb game. It has horrible combat. They failed at doing what Devil May Cry has succeeded in for the past 10 fucking years.
Oh my god.
The fact that they have spent over 10 years developing it, they have failed. They have shit on the franchise. Fuck 15.
All right,
Seabass here. Where all the salt coming from?
on to the next question.
Listen, they had some of the best characters. I loved Luna Freya. I loved her as a character. She was a great, like, as far as female characters go, you get kind of that trope where it's just like, like Orihime from Bleach. Kurosaki-kun, save me! And it's just like absolutely no value. Only comes in every once a blue moon to do something even remotely useful. Is always damsel in distress. She was a badass character, and they just fucking they just trashed her. And I was like, why? And then it was so bad. I fucking
Let the
hate
salt
it.
go.
Let
it go.
That you get into like the most difficult part of the game where it's supposed to be you're scared, you have no defenses, and then they give you an item that you just hold down a button and you cannot die. You just hold down the button and then nothing happens to you. That's it. You just hold down one fucking button and you will eventually beat things. After 30 minutes of it just attacking you and missing, just hold the button. You need no skill to dodge anything. You just hold the button. That's it. Combat down to one thing. hold a button, and listen,
Yeah.
and then you get to the coolest fucking fight where you become a damn missile silo in 15. You know, Luna Freya just like blows everything up, and like you see how amazing she is, and like she saves your ass, and you become a missile silo. And I'm like, this is amazing. I turned into like you turn into supersonic. It's not spoiler. I'm not. You will.
You don't get to dictate what a spoiler is.
You don't either.
Alert.
And all you like, I'm like, you're supersonic. Like, this is amazing. I feel fantastic. And then I realize all you have to do is hold one button. You just literally have to hold. You don't have to move. You don't have to dodge. Hold one button, and that's it. I'm just like, why did you take 10 years to do this? Like, there was no need to take 10 years. Like, the cutscenes and the battle scenes looked great, but the actual gameplay, garbage. It was horrible. Hated it. I haven't beaten it yet. I've gotten to the last phase, and I haven't.
Why don't you just hold down that button?
Yeah, just hold down the button, walk away. You'll beat the game.
Waste of effort. I may as well just fight Orphan of Cause 69 more times. Fuck that. No.
Okay. We'll get to the next question here. We're done with the 15 bastion. A lot of people agree with you though. But Meow asked another question here. Jesse, are you going to change your name to Smolten now that you're a Lalafell?
As funny as that is, probably not.
Nah.
Follow-up
It's
question.
okay.
Would you go to Swolten if you went Rogadin?
That would be good.
It's funny, but no.
All right. Adrian, to Drac, and to Ness. How did you get people to join the FC in the raid group? I'm curious on what happened there before the first video. How did the raid group come to be? We kind of went through that a good bit during the show. Short answer on that, though, if you don't mind.
I can give like a decent answer on how like all the original people were there.
Sure.
Me, Seabass, Steve, Corey, and Mike were all IRL friends. And Seabass, Steve, and I had all been playing like Final Fantasy like before. And we got everybody else into it. We got Corey into it. And then we had Drac and Uni. So that's just how like the original like Nest T9 group started.
Okay. You just real life friends, and that's all it really was.
Yeah.
I mean, they've carried me through the process of everything. There's been very little effort aside from actually just making the videos and making it popular, which the fans did. So yeah.
Because Jesse, Seabass, Steve, Mike, and Craig, they all went to high school together at one point. And I lived in a different state, so I knew them from WoW. Mostly Mike, Seabass, and Steve. And so I raided with them for several years, and I met Jesse sometime during Cataclysm. Same with Craig. Did more WoW stuff with them, and when my computer could actually run Final Fantasy, I tried it out, liked it, and I got hit by Ravenspeak.
Perfect.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
All right. Basilius. So, Drac, how did... Oh my god, I feel like I kind of realized this is going to be a question maybe you'll respond negatively to. So, Drac, how much did you like Orphan of Cause?
A lot. I can answer that for him.
Oh yeah, no, that was so good. I love that. I love that fight so much.
Oh Jesus!
It was the most annoying fight in Bloodborne, and I'm just happy that I wasn't alone. That was my lowest point, where I just flat raged during stream. Like, that's where the ugliest parts came out. I was just so upset. It was a really difficult fight, really gratifying to beat, but holy shit, it was a pain in the ass.
I'm sure that's recorded somewhere, right?
I've gotten rid of it. I believe that. I was like, I don't want that on record. I've shown parts of it, and I did show like parts of me getting screwed by Cause on the video. But I cut out that part because I was just like, no, I don't want that to be a part of me. I don't like my temper. I try and avoid it as much as I can. That was just a really bad time. And I hate that fight so much.
I guess you could say you're glad he's an orphan.
Yeah.
Oh,
And now he's dead.
Now he's dead.
So, yeah, I'm waiting for Jesse to come over, and I'll show him the game, just because it's a very, like, if you're even the slightest bit off, you'll get hit by a hitbox of an attack. Then he'll jump off screen to the point where you can't lock onto him anymore. You don't know where he's going, and then as you're like moving to close the gap, he'll throw shit at you to hurt you, and you're limited on healing, you're limited on mobility, and yeah, it was really. Some people are like, yeah, I beat it in like 2 or 3 times, and other people are like, I'm on like 300. Please, somebody tell me how to beat this guy. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, easy, child. I know.
Easy, child. Okay, Moondasher, when will we ever see your face, Jesse?
He's gonna laugh at you.
The best chance you probably have that happening is seeing me at FanFest.
Okay, so in 2 years. All right.
Basically.
So good luck recognizing him, though.
Yeah. He'll be around Drac, I'm sure, right? You guys will.
Yeah, him and Corey will be towering over me.
Yeah,
There you go. You got a little bit of a hint. They're bigger. They're tall people. There you go. All right, Nimhi, Drac, what kind of ice cream do you like? That's the first question.
Okay. Butter pecan.
Okay. Corey, what do you usually order on your subs?
From where?
Firehouse subs. Subway.
He works
no,
there?
No.
Are you really?
Yeah, I work at Firehouse Subs.
I had no clue at all. I just remember I love Firehouse subs. They have really good subs. They're awesome.
Yeah, we do. Fucking, I train people there.
Awesome.
Basically, assistant manager.
I really did not know
That was a good coincidence. I had to stop at Subway because you were about to die. My personal favorite is the brisket.
Okay. All right. I like the Italian a lot, and I just tell them throw everything on there. Is that good?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I get my brisket with no mayo, no cheese.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of mayo. I think mayo is kind of like, if you have too much on there, it's just gross. But then again, like you have things like deviled eggs, and I can't stop eating those, and there's tons of mayo in there. But I think you just have to have the right balance of mayo. But some people just screw it up and they just throw it everywhere.
People are just lazy when they make it. I'm like, just don't fuck up their sandwich.
Yeah.
Like, would you eat this? No? Okay, well then go away. Get off my line.
There you go. You're a good manager, dude. There you go. You're a manager.
I'm not
right?
even a manager. I've been
Well, what the
offered
hell?
the position, but I've been offered the position, but I don't want to take it because I don't want that kind of responsibility or that many hours.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, last question. Jesse, what do you think about pineapple on pizza?
It's not great, but I had it before. It's okay.
All right. It's good. It can be good. You just have to do it right. Like Hawaiian pizzas are good. I think they're great, especially when you add like hot sauce to them, and they're like really good. But do you guys like ranch on pizza?
Yes.
No, that's disgusting.
No.
Ranch and sauerkraut.
Drac,
Oh God.
there's a little term I
I-
like to use in League. It's called "kill yourself."
Yeah, no,
Maybe you've heard
I don't care about unpopular opinions. That's one thing that I've kept with me in my development as an adult is fuck what people think. If you like
There's
it,
some
do
things
you.
you should grow out of, and ranch on pizza is one of them.
I grew into it, actually, my friend, and I will appreciate some damn respect from my decisions. And
He's
Yeah.
no
Okay,
friend
you'll
of
have-
yours.
No, my aunt got me into the sauerkraut thing, but that's my German heritage.
Okay.
So, but then I countered that out with an extreme appreciation for Latin and Mexican food because I've got family from down that way over the border too.
All right. Okay. Sammy has a question for Jesse. Was Undertale a good game?
It's a fantastic game. My
Yeah.
favorite game.
It was a good
I
game.
finished it.
Yeah. I thought it was good. You just have to go in there, not know anything about it, and just do it and be done with it afterwards.
Jesse watched me do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was
Oh.
entertaining.
Yeah. It
That was entertaining. Watching me go through it.
Oh, why?
Fucking, I'm god awful at
Watching him fail
bullet
miserably.
hells.
Oh, really?
So, I'm gonna try and avoid spoilers as much as I can for chat. But you know the boss that has gills?
Yes, I have an idea. I think I remember.
Well, it took me about 20 minutes to figure out I was supposed to run away. I was just going through it, and I was like, just go. I kept going, like,
Yeah.
why can I not win? This
The
is so
struggle.
fucking dumb.
That's
And I'm
part
like-
of the experience, man. That's part of the experience, dude.
That was part of the experience, but I'm like, God, I feel like I'm missing something here. Just like, you kind of are.
Okay. FFEV, will Jesse be fighting 6 Mays again?
No, never. Never again. Ever.
Oh,
Oh, that was fun.
That was entertaining to watch.
oh Jesus.
That's
All
the
right.
one asshole, Jesse.
Nope.
There's another question here. I don't know how relevant this is. Was never a cat? Never a cat asked this. All right, Drac. What happened to Uni?
She's a mother now. So
Okay.
she is in the background. She's been in and out of here.
Mhm.
She's trying to get me to it's my friend's party tonight. So she's like, "Are you almost done?" I'm like, "He can wait."
Yeah. Well, we're finishing
So,
up here. We're there.
Yeah, no, she's basically a support right now. She helps me out in the background. She's watching the baby. She takes care of a lot of that stuff while I'm working on things, and so she's been a big help to making sure that I don't flounder with all the new responsibilities and stuff of being in so much in the public eye, which has been overwhelming.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic, and I love it, and I appreciate you guys for doing that. So yeah, she's still around. We were trying to teach her new fights so she can sub in when we lose a healer.
Mhm.
But it's just a matter of if baby's down, how much attention she needs to give, because our kid's 1 right now, 1 in a few months, and she is very opinionated and outspoken.
Yeah.
And
we
so
heard.
she's got a lot of personality, so it's very difficult to do anything and let her. You have to have her occupied somewhere else if you want to do anything, because otherwise she's messed up my. I think she fixed it. No, she messed it up again. She hit something on my mouse, and I don't know how to fix it. Every time she does it, she lowers the sensitivity of my mouse.
There's a button, I'm sure, on there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's a
There,
toggle.
I did it.
All right.
Gracious, I had no idea what she did to it. So she does that, and so I reconfigure everything to fix it, and then she comes on my computer, hits it again, and then my mouse is the cursor's flying across the screen. So yeah, she's a handful.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's actually all the questions that we have today, guys, from the viewer questions. I appreciate you guys throwing them out there at last minute to get all the questions you could in there. Hopefully it was enlightening to know about subs and pizzas and ice cream preferences.
Little things that count.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they got to know you a little bit better. They're a little bit closer to you now. All right. Well, as we're getting closer to the end of the show, we're pretty much there. One thing that I always like to do before we completely finish it out is have you guys all kind of shout out who you want to shout out, say whatever you want to say to everyone watching. And I'll start. Actually, we'll end with Drac, and we'll start over here with Corey. Corey, do you have any shout outs for anybody, dude?
It's thank you to all the fans who support us. It does mean a lot. And whenever we meet you guys in Duty Finder, we brag. It's oh, guess what? People recognize me. I got to hang out with this fan or whatever. It's I had people from Australia, Europe, all over. Say they enjoy our stuff and to give their best to the group and just keep doing what we're doing, and that means a lot. Shout out to the raid group too for putting up with my bullshit.
You're part of why they're there,
Not a lot
Corey,
of groups.
I'm sure.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
great to have in the group.
No, yeah.
At times, but it definitely is not something you can do in every group, and I'm lucky to be in a group that can put up with what I would like to do, especially the blind runs. I don't look up anything until I've seen it and died to it multiple times, even though I could easily just go look up a guide for whatever and then have knowledge of what I should be doing at all times. But I didn't get to do that in WoW, so I appreciate doing that in Final Fantasy, getting to experience stuff fresh. And lastly, I'd like to thank Savannah for putting up with my hectic schedule.
All right.
Because I know it's not always easy.
It's not always easy, man.
It's not,
All
but it's
right.
worth it.
Yeah. Jesse, you got some shout outs you want to do, dude?
About the same as Corey. For all the fans that we meet in Duty Finder and stuff, it's great to see just fans and just being able to just do stuff with them or whatever. And just for anybody that's ever seen us in Duty Finder or wasn't sure if it was actually us or not, don't be afraid to at least ask. I know a couple people I've seen run into oh, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to say anything to you or if you were actually the person or not. Just ask. It is probably us. To be completely
Yeah,
honest with you.
I've like people. It's like, are you Corey? I do the little 07 as my little salute that I do every time I go into a new duty.
Mm-hmm.
And they was like, it is. I'm like, yeah. Now let's kill this so I can get out.
We now have our 6th member has joined us. Uni, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
Yes. Wonderful. This is great. Now we have an extra part. You know, let's just start the show over. Let's just start from square one here. I feel like we missed a lot of opinions here. Yeah, no. We're actually finishing up here. So on the very last part here. And Jesse, I'm sorry, did you finish up all yours? I got distracted there for a second.
One more shout out. I'm not
Okay.
sure if she's still watching or not. It's my girlfriend Jasmine watching the stream. So
Yeah, she's on.
That's sweet. Okay, there you go.
He's a Lalafell. He's gonna be a Lalafell. Sorry. The fans have spoken. You're just gonna have to deal.
Yeah. And Drac, we'll finish up with you, dude. What kind of shout outs you want to do? Who do you want to shout out?
First, thank you to everybody who's shown their support. This is all for you. And thank you for our raid team being as amazing as you guys are. Thank you to Jesse and Corey for being great friends, for being great people, for being real and honest, and helping us through tough times, and just making this a really good experience. Thank you to the community team, for you guys out there, Matt, and especially Devin Cassidy, who's just leaving there now. God bless you, dude, and I hope the best to you. Anytime you guys want me on or need any help with anything, feel free to ask, as well as anybody else who does the community stuff. I'm more than willing to collaborate on things. The more that we can do for this community, the better. This is a great game, and we've got a lot of people to talk to. So anything that we can do to make the experience better, I think it deserves that, especially that. And of course, Yoshida-san, thank you very much for what you do for all of us.
If he's watching, I'd
gets to him.
Yeah.
We appreciate you more than I think you know. So one of the hands down the best producer or leader of any game production that I've seen. Nobody, I think, would take that amount of time in their position to get down and dirty and just talk to people personally. Mm-hmm. So fantastic person. He's doing what he he's doing the right thing, and I hope that continues to do it. So yeah, I think that's about it. And thank you to my lovely wife for supporting, and for my daughter for not ruining everything all the time, for being a good clickbait.
Yeah.
Whenever I put her in a thumbnail or on a video.
Yeah.
Shout out to the baby, yes.
Uni, do you have any shout outs you want to do?
Nothing in particular. I do want to thank our fans, though. You guys have been awesome, and this community has been awesome throughout this whole experience, which we never thought would become as big as it has. And so thank you, everybody.
No. That's perfect. And while we're finished up here, thank you guys, everyone who's watching the show. That's absolutely amazing that you're doing. Thank you, Nimi, for putting all that out there for us, making sure that we get all Drakanous' stuff out there. And thank you guys for coming on the show. Drac, Corey, Jesse, you guys have been absolutely amazing to have here. So,
anytime, just give us a shout out if you got something else for us.
I will. Don't worry.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm
no
happy
problem.
to join as long as I can find time for it.
Yeah,
Thank you for thank you for delaying it so I could actually participate too.
No. I asked Drac. I was like, okay, so we could get Corey on here. So how do we make that happen? And he's like, well, there's a chance. We can ask him if he'll come on a little bit late. And I was like,
only
right.
because I know the process of trying to get an extra time. I'm like, I don't know, roll the dice.
You must submit an application before you get paid.
In
Triplicate.
Yep.
I just need to know so I can plan around it, and then I try to make it work.
All right.
But I like doing this kind of stuff. I like the tank talk that Jesse and I did, and this is actually a really cool experience.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I hope you guys had fun. I never, honestly, when I'm doing a show, it's more about you guys, and then afterwards it's the people watching, because why would you guys want to come on here if you're not having a good time and enjoying yourself talking about it?
It's been really fun.
But also, thank you, Korara, for going and moderating the chat, getting questions and everything else. Thank you all the mods that are out there helping out. Thank you, the viewers, for watching. Thank you, Blizzana, for making the artwork for the show. Thank you, Andre Kane, for letting me use his music for a part of the intro that we did here. And I think, that kind of wraps it up here. I usually ask you guys who we should host next. Drakanous, you're not streaming after this, right?
No.
No, because you have an event to go to.
Yeah, I've got somewhere to be.
Okay.
Let's see. If you can talk to Denmo, he's a really great guy, very down to earth. He'd be fun to talk to.
You know,
very humble.
I should probably get in touch with him. I think I don't know. I need to reach out to more people out there that's in the community. I try to get everyone I can because this community is huge for people who make content, and Demo's pretty big. I just haven't had a talk with him yet. You should tell him to have a conversation with me. You can be my middleman.
Or he can also lead you to a few other people. He invited me to a Discord with a few other creators. We haven't done anything with it yet, but he's all for the collaboration and stuff. And he's a great guy, fun to be around.
Okay. But you don't have a suggestion for who I should host after the show, right? Any kind of thoughts or anything, or should I just host whoever?
Oh, hosting. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not big on Twitch as far as watching and stuff, so I don't know everybody, and so this is really my first time, aside from Denmo, to like really collab with anything. So,
okay. I can choose it. I can
roll some dice. So,
right. I got no problem at all. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do the last bit of the show. We always do very awkward waving, and we say bye. Are you ready to do that? We got 3 people on camera that can do it right now, so we're all going to do it. So thank you all for watching. We will see you next time. And until then, bye. Be good, keep cool, and stay frosty.
Bye.
Drac, you have to say it. Stay frosty.
Stay frosty.
You don't have to say it, but now that you said it, I feel pretty good about it. All right.
Corey told me to. I have to, or he'll kill me.
Oh, well, he's going to do that anyways.
Yeah, I don't need an excuse.